been 5 hours since voting officially closed and more than 83% of Brazilians nationwide have transmitted their votes.
We continue to bring you the latest on the results as well as news and analyses on this historic event. This is the One News special coverage of the national elections Bilang Pilipino 2022.
Now, partial unofficial results based on real-time data from COMELEC still show a wide lead for presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos and his running mate, vice presidential candidate Sara Duterte. One candidate at the national level has already conceded his loss. Doc Willie Ong says one day Filipinos will finally realize who really loves them and works to serve their best interest. For one political analyst, this appears to be a case of history going full circle.
Circle going on here. If you recall, 2022 is the 50th anniversary of the declaration of martial law. So there is a kind of symmetry here. I don't know if you would like the symmetry, but there's this kind of circle that's going around.
But for Bongbong Marcos himself, the fight is not yet over. In a so-called address to the nation, the frontrunner of the partial unofficial results of the presidential elections urged his supporters to remain vigilant while extending his gratitude for their votes.
Count is not yet done. It's not yet over. Kailangan pa rin tayo magbantay. But I wanted to issue a short statement. And it essentially is a statement of gratitude to all of those who have been with us in this long and sometimes very difficult journey for the last 6 months. I want to thank you for all that you have done for us because of their belief in our message of unity, because of their belief in the candidates sa Tambalang, Marcos at saka Duterte. Kaya't napakalaking pasasalamat namin sa inyong lahat.
However, today's polls were marred by complaints, controversies, and questions from the time precincts opened at 6 a.m. until they closed at around 7 in the evening. And as we speak, plans for electoral protests are already brewing. We'll get you more updates on that a little later on in the show. But for now, with issues ranging from faulty vote counting machines, hordes of voters getting sent home, and thousands more unable to register their votes, one poll watchdog says they cannot consider the 2022 national elections a success.
We are strongly disappointed with the COMELEC for not listening to the people, for not being able to extend voting hours. It's a very, very simple request that really makes sense given that there have been long lines and that people have lined up as early as 6 o'clock. And that kind of an atmosphere, Gretchen and Robbie, cannot be the new normal. I'm not saying that the cheating would be massive enough to change the people's sentiments. But what cannot be denied is that there are voters who have been deprived of their right to vote, although it is no fault of their own.
And currently at number 10 in the senatorial race, based on partial unofficial results, is former and possibly returning Senator J.V. Ejercito. He's joining us now over the line. Hi. Hello, Senator J.V. Kamusta na po kayo? Nakatulog na po ba kayo? And are you feeling confident?
Yes, Shawn. Good morning to all the televiewers. I'm okay. Hindi pa nakakatulog kasi ayoko na matulog. Kasi noong 2019 natulog ako, nawala ako sa top 12. So wala nang tulugan muna ngayon.
All right. Your brother, former Senator Jinggoy Estrada, is trailing behind you at the moment. Napag-usapan nyo na ba sa pamilya or nag-usap na ba kayo ni Senator Jinggoy?
No, hindi kami nag-uusap up to now.
All right, we'll take that. And ano namang plano nyo? Yes, Jess.
Senator JV, Jess here, kasama ni Shawn na nasa One News. Just checking, you're still at number 10 here. Naungusan ninyo si Senator Rizza Ontiveros. Is there any fear at this stage na posible pa bang, let's say on the one hand, posible pa bang umangat sa tingin ninyo? On the other hand, may fear pa ba na baka malaglag sa top 12?
Well, almost 80% na. But still, we will be, I can only relax until the last vote has been counted, no? So, but I think I'm in a better position right now than 2019, and I'm quite confident that I'll be able to pull it through because I have a very comfortable lead to the number 13, no? And that's almost 2 million votes. And to the next number 11, about almost 200,000. So I think if the trend continues, I think I'll be I will have a comfortable lead after the counting has been completed. So I'm very happy because this has been a very difficult campaign for me, probably the most difficult fight in my political career because, as you know, I'm independent. I'm moving alone almost. I lack of funds. I have my brother running simultaneously with me, but for me to be placing already in the top 12 is already it's a shelter from miracle. So I'm very happy. I am very satisfied.
All right, we were wondering here, Senator JV, ano po yung ginawa ninyo differently from the last time? Last time di po kayo pinagpala, now you're doing better, you said so yourself. I'm sure you're crunching the numbers right now for the remaining number of precinct votes that have yet to come in. What did you do differently in terms of your campaign strategy and your style?
Well, Shawn, I was, at first I felt bad that I was left out of the unity. They did not consider me. They got my brother instead. Also, I'm not part of the Lenny Kiko team. So, once in a while, I joined the Lacson Soto sorties. Yordi Isko or Manny Pacquiao also adopted me. But I think what I did different 2019 right now is that I was able to elaborate more on my plans and program, and I was able to discuss my accomplishments as well. So it turned out to be a blessing in disguise that I'm not part of unity team. At least the sibling rivalry issue, was not highlighted this time because 2019 I was in the same thing as my brother. So the whole campaign was I had to contend with the sibling rivalry issue that it was so unfair because I just passed the universal health care law at the time. I also just passed the creation of Department of Human Settlement or Department of Housing, but it did not make the news, no? So at least this time around, people are more aware about the universal health care law, more aware about the Department of Housing. So I think that that worked to my advantage this time.
Okay, picking up from that point, Senator JV, kanina, of course, during the earlier broadcast, we were playing around with the possibilities as to how we are going to place the winning senators under a Marcos presidency. Where do you see yourself? Are you going to be part of the administration, the opposition, or is it possible that you might actually be a swing senator here?
Well, I'm thinking about it, no? Since I won as an independent, no? I was not part of the city, not part of the Lenny Kiko group. So I'm thinking of being independent. No? But we'll see. No, I have to talk because we have a block in the Senate. No? The seat block. I have to talk to my friend, Senator Zubiri, Jester Delos Santos, or the rest. But I will have to think about it because I want independence this time. So there's time to think about it.
All right, so you're still thinking about where to position yourself, and like you said, deciding to run independently has afforded you this. As early as now, is there any thing or any number of things that you want to push forth if you do, of course, join the Senate? Any specific bills, any specific committees that you would like to join, or which ones or which bills of yours would you want to actually push through and see to the end?
Well, the main reason why I decided to run, even if I knew from the start that it was for me, is as the principal sponsor of the Universal Healthcare Law, it's a work in progress. So I really would want to oversee proper implementation, and I want to make sure that it is prioritized because this is a landmark legislation that will really benefit all Filipinos. So that's number one, my priority. Second is the creation of the Department of Human Settlement. We now have a full-fledged department that will take care of the housing program. So I would want also to oversee that it is properly implemented as well. And last but not least, my advocacy on infrastructure development. I hope that I'll be able to defend again the railway project, the port airports modernization, most of the build projects of the DOTR back then. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to pick up where I left off in the Senate.
All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Senator, or rather early this morning, Senator J.V. Ejercito over the line. Thank you, sir, and good luck.
Okay, this time, Shawn, let's take a closer look at the breakdown of the latest figures of the presidential and vice presidential race. Again, just a quick overview here. It's pretty much the same scenario since voting started, Shawn. I mean, I know you've been monitoring this. Of course, you have Ferdinand Marcos Jr. still dominant here in the presidential race with 26.6 or 26.7 really million votes here. And then Leni Robredo, a far second with 12.7 million votes. Again, also, I guess it would be better as well if we would check how that compares to what we had back in 2016. A number of provinces, flipped provinces here, particularly in Luzon. Very obvious. You have a single spot here, Tarlac, which of course voted in favor of Robredo back in 2016 and now turning over here for Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Sorry, I clicked the wrong province here.
Yeah, you're in Pampanga. The
I'm in
other one
Pampanga.
also, Jess, is in
This is Tarlac, I'm
Zambales.
quite sure. Of course, Bongbong Marcos now at 383,000 in Tarlac. Leni Robredo at 257,000. Compare that.
Okay, that's in Zambales, just so I think we need to change that one.
Nagkamali tayo dito sa Zambales. Okay, this time again, yan, Tarlac, more accurate here. Also, very of course, we have to take note, mas marami rin yung mga botante this time, at least when it comes to votes for Leni and Bongbong. But at the same time, in comparison-wise, sobrang laki rin ng diferensya, sobrang nag-flip yung province in favor of Marcos this time around. Okay, so you have other flip provinces here, the likes of Cebu, of course, being a vote-rich province. In fact, the most vote-rich province here in the country. Again, a whopping 1.3 million votes for Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Compare that to just 500,000 here for Leni Robredo, Shawn. Any other particular areas you want us to check out, Shawn?
You know, we were looking at this corridor that was very important. Clearly, I can see, even though I'm a little bit far from the screen, that it is all pretty much red, but perhaps not all so. What can you say about that, Jess?
Okay, this time, we're talking, of course, about the Lingayen to Lucena corridor. For that, in fact, you're not wrong in saying it's predominantly red here, but you can see
But
the lone
not
province that at least has supported Leni Robredo so far in this election would have to be Quezon in that corridor with Leni Robredo with 513,000 votes compared to Ferdinand Marcos's 371,000 votes. But for the rest of that corridor, particularly NCR, it's still going to be predominantly Bongbong Marcos. Look at that. BBM with 3 million votes, Leni with only 1.7 million votes. And still pretty much the same scenario here where we're talking about Pampanga, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite, and Laguna.
All right, at this point, I think Bongbong Marcos Jr. has repeatedly urged his supporters and volunteers to protect his votes. You've been seeing this across social media. Let's take a look at how his campaign and his campaign team and volunteers are acting on this mandate. Allow me to bring in mobile journalist Julie Baiza, who is currently over at the Uniteam headquarters in Mandaluyong. Julie, hi, what do you have for us? Kamusta dyan?
Kung makikita nyo ngayon, napaka-festive at mistulang victory party na dito sa labas ng headquarters ni Presidential Candidate Bongbong Marcos. Dito, nagpapatugtog ng iba't ibang kanta yung mga taga-suporta niya na nagmula sa iba't ibang lugar. Hindi lang dito sa Mandaluyong, merong galing ng Makati, merong galing ng Cavite, at meron din ang galing pa sa probinsya. Susubukan natin kumausap ng ilan sa kanila kasi medyo maingay dito. So dito tayo sa mga nasa malayo. At Julie po, ma'am, pwede kayo pangalan ninyo?
Rosita Umawid po.
Rosita, taga saan po kayo pang Rosita?
Makati po.
Makati.
Coordinator po ako ng South NCR.
Anong oras po kayo nagpunta dito?
Ay, pagkatapos doon bilangan na panalo sa ano namin, presento lahat ng buong school, tumiretso na kami dito. Hindi pa kami nakauwi ng bahay.
Kung ito na ang diniretso nyo dahil nakita ninyo na marami na ba tao dito?
Wala kaming alam na marami pala dito. Basta lang, sabi ko, punta kami dito. Ay, yung presidente namin, yun po yung nagyaya na punta tayo sa HQ. Yun pala, pagdating namin dito, marami palang tao.
Presidente ng ano, ma'am?
Sa asosasyon na, ay sa grupo namin na Jaira.
Jaira.
Apo.
So ilan po kayo nagpunta dito ngayon?
Ay, marami kami po. Sobrang dami namin, nasa 30 po.
Anong pakiramdam niyo, ma'am? Kasi kayo ay
Ay,
supporter.
naiyak ako, ma'am. Sobra. Kasi September pa ako nagbuo sa mga ano ko, mga tauhan ko po. Volunteer lang kami, ma'am. Kahit piso, wala po talaga kaming natanggap na sabi nila bayad kami. Kahit nandyan si Panginoon po, wala talaga. Wala talaga. Kahit pagkain namin ngayon, ma'am, kanya-kanya po kaming bili.
Paano kayo pumunta dito, ma'am?
Nagtaksi po. Taxi kami. Ilang taxi kami. Dito, punta dito.
Ma'am, anong inaasahan nyo? Kasi, syempre, ito nakakita ninyo, nagpa-party na
Coach,
yung
dito.
nagpa-party na yung mga kasamahan nyo dito. Ano po bang inaasahan nyo na pumunta kayo dito?
Wala kaming alsahan. Magdamag kami. Magbantay kami sa bilangan.
Babantayan nyo
Yes.
yung bilangan.
Walang tulugan. Yun ang pangako namin. Hindi kami matutulog.
Ma'am, anong nagustuhan nyo kaya BBM para maging taga-suporta niya kayo?
Para mabago naman itong ano natin, patakaran natin. Kasi ano pa rin wala pa rin ibalik natin si Marcos. Kasi kahit hindi man namin naabutan yung nakaraan na sa kama, sabi maganda ang ano nila, ngayon okay. Subukan din natin ngayon yung anak.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you. Hindi lang dito sa harap mismo ng headquarters, yung mga supporters, kung makikita ninyo, pati itong kalahati ng EDSA, ito, marami na rin tao, marami ng mga bumubusina. Ayan, lahat yan, mga supporters ito, BBM. Ayan, nag-cheer sila doon sa mga dumadaan na taxi, mga sasakyan dito at marami naman yung bumubusina. Mahaba na yung mga taga-suporta na nandito. Kanina, nung una tayong lumabas, halos mangilan-ngilan lang sila. Ayan. Son?
May nagbabantay ba? Pinapaalis ba sila? Meron ba nagka-crowd control dyan? Kasi mukhang nasa EDSA na kayo eh.
Ingat ka dyan, Julie, ha? May
Yes,
mga
yes,
truck sa likod
nasa
mo.
EDSA na talaga. Meron dito mga personnel ng Philippine National Police na nakapwesto ngayon. Even yung mga merong mga volunteers naman na nagpapagilid sa kanila just to make sure na hindi ma-occupy yung buong EDSA.
Pero anong happening dyan? Bukod sa nagdagsa ang mga supporters, no, mga followers ni Bongbong Marcos, may pakain ba? May pakanta ba? Is there anything?
Mini proclamation rally na ba yung nangyayari dyan?
Yung nandito sa loob, sila, nagkakantahan sila, no? Nagkatutugtugan sila dito. Different yung tinutugtog eh. May bagong lipunan, yung jingle ni Mayor Sara Duterte, awit ng kabataan, and sumasayaw sila ito. Ayan, sila yung mga nasa loob, parang meron na silang programa doon. Tugtog, nagpapaputok din sila. Kanina, marami tayong naririnig na mga quickies dito. And sa pagkain, kanya-kanyang bit-bit ng pagkain. Actually, nakita ko kanina iba-ibang pagkain from fast food chain yung dala-dala ng mga supporters kasi magkakaibang grupo or mula din sila sa iba-ibang lugar.
Alright, and base sa naririnig mo dyan, Julie, dadami pa ba ang tao? Can we expect this crowd to thicken over, this graveyard shift? At gigising ba tayo bukas na maraming tao dyan?
Saka hanggang gaano kalayo ba yung pinanggalingan ng ilang mga nandyan? Meron ba dyan mga nanggaling pa ng probinsya?
Meron dito na nanggaling pa sa Cavite. Meron din na nanggaling pa sa Bulacan. At sa iba't ibang panig ng Metro Manila. Kanina yung mga naunang nandito, from Mandaluyong area lang din sila, no? Ngayon, nung kumausap tayo, talagang malalayo na yung mga pinanggalingan. At sabi nila, meron pa daw sila mga kakilala na pupunta ngayon dito at magbabiyahe ngayong gabi.
Anong inaasahan nila dyan, Julie? Huling tanong na lamang, no? Anong inaasahan nila dyan? Na darating ba si Bongbong Marcos Jr. or ilan sa kanyang mga kaanak or ilan sa kanyang campaign team na pamilyar na mukha sa atin?
Actually, nakaalis na kasi kanina si BBM at saka yung kasama niya yung dalawa niyang anak at saka yung asawa niya si Attorney Rizza. Briefly, sumilip sa kanila doon sa harapan si Attorney Vic Rodriguez, kumaway lang at nakipagkumustahan lang. Walang inaasahan talaga na darating na kung sino man na kumbaga parang sikat or sorry, kailangan natin. Wala namang inaasahan na pupunta dito, pero iisa yung sagot ng mga nandito, no, na babantayan daw nila yung boto, hindi daw sila matutulog. Siguro, ito rin yung sagot ng mga taga-suporta sa paulit-ulit na panawagan ni Marcos na wag matsyag tayo, walang tulugan dahil sa kailangan bantayan yung mga boto.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong ulat at sa mga updates. Julie Baiza, nagbabalita mula sa headquarters ni BBM. Diyan lang, malapit lang sa atin, sa Mandaluyong, EDSA. Ayan, at this point, we'll be taking a deep dive into the presidential and vice presidential race with political observer Earl Pereño. Earl,
Good
hi.
morning, Earl.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. All right, at this point, what can you say? Let's let you have the first word.
The overall picture.
The numbers.
Ano una mong reaction after seeing those figures?
Hindi naman nakakagulat dahil ang surveys, no, ay yun naman yung sinasabi. At ako naniniwala ako sa surveys, no. Although may question ako kung minsan doon sa methodology, lalo na doon sa sampling, I think valid naman yung point na yun na may mga underrepresented sectors talaga. Pero overall, maraming survey firms na nag-a-affirm na malayo talaga ang lamang ni Marcos.
So in a nutshell, whatever came out sa survey results and then the actual partial and unofficial tally, which is already nearing 85% as of 12:46 a.m., is not very surprising to you.
Yeah, it's not really very surprising. And I think kailangan natin pag-aralan sa ngayon bakit ganun yung sentimiento ng mga botante. No? I think that's a more important thing na kailangan i-deep dive. No? Bakit gusto nila bumalik yung Marcos? Bakit subukan naman natin? Yung sinabi kanina sa in-interview ng reporter niyo, subukan naman natin uli ang Marcos. No? So,
Sir Earl, how much of this is also hinged on the fact that Marcos is running alongside a Duterte? I mean, looking at that chart right here, it's so easy to think na this is just Marcos versus Robredo. But that basically dismisses the fact as well that Marcos this time around is running alongside a Duterte. Hence, of course, looking at Mindanao right here, it's pretty much red at this stage. So how much of this is really hinged again on Marcos being in tandem with Sara Duterte?
Actually, yun yung pinaka-potent combination eh. Noon pa man, nung November 15 pa man, nung nag-file sila, nagsanib sila, yun yung pinakamalaking factor bakit nag-shoot up ang numbers ni Marcos. One, kasi ang elections, hindi lang naman usapin yun ng hearts and minds eh. It's also about machinery.
Yeah.
No? At nung nagsanib ang Duterte at ang mga Marcos, ang perception ng mga local government officials ay suportado. Maski hindi man sinasabi mismo ni Presidente Duterte na suportado niya si Bongbong, pero yun yung lumalabas na signal.
Dahil ba
para
nakikita
sa kanila.
natin, very plain and simple, no, na syempre, suportado ni Presidente Duterte, ang anak niya, si Mayor Inday Sara. And Mayor Inday Sara is, of course, the running mate of Marcos. So, it kind of follows. Ganun ba? Napaka-common sense, kumbaga.
Yes.
Pero
at yun yung nakukuha talaga ng mga LGUs, no? Kaya halos lahat ng governors at saka mayors ay sumuporta sa tandem na ito.
Ito lagi natin pinag-uusapan, ano? At lagi natin sinasabi, yung salitang machinery. Gaano ka-valid pa po ba yung machinery, no? Ngayong sa modern times, with social media, with
Did it just
influencers?
take a different form? Possibly?
Yes. Anong machinery ang nakita mo? Can we take a deep dive into what you mean when you say nasa kanya yung machinery?
Yeah. Ang machinery, dalawa yun eh. One, yung command votes, no? Machinery to get command votes. Ward leaders ito. Sa sitwasyon natin ngayon, ito yung mga nandoon sa field, barangay captains, barangay councils, na sa reality natin, controlled yun ng mga mayors, ng governors, o kaya ng congressman. Ibig sabihin, elected officials. Sila yung may direct link sa tao at sila yung nagko-convince sa mga tao, patronage politics, some call it, no, na ito yung iboto. Dahil whether we like it or not, may vote buying talaga.
Marami kasi
Sila yung
nagsasabi.
nagdadala ng pera doon sa mga tao.
Yes, but a lot of people are saying now, no, because of other means available to us in modern times, of course, we're talking about social media, chat groups, etc., etc., na baka this machinery of old, yung kinakasanayan nating machinery, kasi hindi na masyadong effective. But would you say that, you know, this race could argue for both cases kasi? What are you seeing here? Is it really the traditional machinery that you're saying, or is it these so-called, you know, new machinery, quote-unquote?
Hindi naman kasi either or yun eh. Ang social media, gaya dati, yung air war, tawag namin dyan, ano? The air, including newspapers actually, radio, TV, etc., nag-augment ito. Nag-i-enhance ito doon sa machinery mo. Ibig sabihin, kailangan mo i-establish ang image, yung brand ng kandidato. You're selling something. You're selling a product. You're selling a candidate. No? Kumbaga, kailangan matikman din yun. Ang pagtikim niyan ay hindi lang sa air. Kailangan yan pumunta sa field. At ang field ay sa ground, yun yung mga machinery ang nagpapatikim niyan. Dahil kung nagbibenta ka halimbawa ng isang mangga, ang ganda-ganda ng kulay, ang ganda-ganda ng kutis ng mangga, pero maasim pala.
Okay.
Diba?
Sir Earl, interesting yung mga binabanggit mo. No? Pag-uusapan pa natin yan mamaya. But for now, we are going to talk to a local official here, particularly over in Baguio City. You have re-electionist Mayor Benjamin Magalong, who's leading with more than 65,000 votes. Good morning, Mayor Magalong. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Good morning, Shawn. Good morning, Jester.
Sir, so kamusta ho ang sitwasyon dyan sa Baguio? So far, ano nakikita ninyo sa mga numero ninyo, and are you confident of a win this time again?
Yes, Shawn and Jester, we just had a proclamation, informal proclamation, kasi I'm ahead by as much as 15,000 plus votes na. 10,000 na lang yung naiiwan. Kaya nag-decide na yung ating Comelec officials na i-declare na rin ako as winner of this election.
All right, but it is, of course, a national election year, Mayor. Nagulat ba kayo sa resulta ng election so far? Kahit na partial and unofficial tally pa lang ito, and we're almost just at 85%.
Yes, medyo talaga nahirapan din kami dahil siyempre very limited yung funds namin. Tapos and besides, we had a different approach na ngayon. Ang iba yung approach namin. Inexpensive yung campaign namin compared to sa mga rival na mga candidates. And talagang very limited din yung aming logistics. Kaya talagang struggle din sa amin because alam mo naman dito sa Baguio, we're implementing genuine good governance dito.
Pero Mayor Magalong, kamusta naman yung naging conduct of elections dyan sa Baguio? Is it relatively peaceful naman?
Very, very peaceful dito. In fact, I was the regional director dito noong 2011 to 2013, and Baguio is probably one of the places sa buong Pilipinas na talagang very peaceful lagi ang election. In fact, although there were several attempts na magkaroon ng vote buying dito. Pero for some reason, ng mga tao rito, they're very smart voters. They will take your money, pero they will not vote for you.
All right. What about the results of the national elections, Mayor Magalong? How is it looking to you at the moment? Is it exactly as you expected?
Oh yes, we anticipated that it will be Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte that will be leading in the elections here in the city of Baguio. We still don't have the exact figure, but basically the lead is overwhelming.
All right, again, thank you very much to Mayor Benjamin Magalong, who again just had his proclamation rally over in the City of Pines. Thank you very much, Mayor Magalong. Now, balik tayo sa inyo, Sir Earl Pareño. Again, kanina you were mentioning already about the function of the media here in terms of machinery, political machinery. But this time, pag-usapan natin media, the industry itself. I mean, taking from the words of one of our colleagues here, Sir Manny Mogato, he somehow said na the media has failed. Media has failed. Considering what happened. Your thoughts on that? Especially, katulad nga, pinick up ninyo yung point kanina nung sa interview ni Julie Baiza doon sa isa sa mga supporters na gusto nilang masubukan ulit or ibalik ang mga Marcos sa Malacanang. How is that appealing to you? Or at least the thought that nagkulang nga ba talaga yung media over the past few years?
Actually, ang problem ng elections natin ngayon ay yung information and education. Parang nagkakaroon ng disinformation and miseducation ng mga botante natin. And I think malaki ang role ng media to inform and to educate our voters, our citizens. Educate sa history ng ating bansa, no? Bakit pinatalsik ang mga Marcoses noon, no? Ano ba yung nangyari sa dictatorship, no? Ano ba yung lumalabas sa social media na may Italiano gold, no? Real ito. Ako since September, August, nasa field na ako. May mga nami-meet akong mga tao na ini-entice ng mga Marcos groups, no? Na mag-invest ng 30,000 dahil magiging 300,000 ito. Nangungutang sa mga lending nila, yung mga self-help organizations para lang makapag-invest. At kailangan manalo si Marcos dahil yung Italiano gold ay lalabas. Real yun. Ako, ang dami kong na-interview niya. Hindi lang isang dosena.
Do you think they will be a problem? I mean, kunyari, eto na nga, nandito na tayo, mukhang mananalo na talaga si Marcos. It's just a matter of time before the official proclamation. Will we then see people coming out of the woodwork, looking for Italiano gold? Asan yung Italiano gold?
Precisely, that would be his greatest problem. Ang taas-taas ng expectation ng mga tao ngayon. Wala naman siyang malinaw na program for agriculture, for the workers, for the drivers. Wala eh. 'Di ba? Ang promises niya, ang nakikita ko sa field, ang naririnig ko sa field, ay yung promise na ibabalik yung ill-gotten wealth nila. Nakakatawa nga eh. Nakaw na yaman yun. Nakaw ang term ng mga tao Ibabalik nila. Pinangako nila yun. Yan yung hindi maintindihan. Hanggang ngayon, di ko maintindihan talaga yun. Bakit naniniwala ang mga tao dyan?
The issue with the estate taxes, paano to?
Estate taxes, wala yan. Sa tingin ko, issue yan ng middle class or ng big business or
malayo sa sikmura.
Malayo sa sikmura.
Hindi naiintindihan ng
Pero
lahat.
yung pagbabalik sa kanila, na may nakikita nga akong mga card na nagagaranti ng 10,000 per month pag nanalo si Bongbong. No? Nakakatawa. Pero nakakaiyak din. Bakit naniniwala ang mga tao doon?
So that's always been the question. No? I mean, this is not rin the first election. I mean, of course, the results are staggering this time around. The margins are really, really big. But the questions are old, di ba? These promises, they're always made. Promises in general. And no one has really delivered on 100% of their promises. But still, we see these numbers, Marcos's numbers, of course, just blowing everyone else out of the water. what is this phenomenon, you think? What is at the root of this phenomenon? Kasi even yung subukan naman natin yung bago, narinig ko na rin yan noong 2016, Jess. Right? Subukan naman natin, bago, si Duterte, ganyan. And then now, subukan na naman ulit natin yung bago. Is this cultural at this point?
Cyclical na.
Hindi, sa tingin ko, ang root cause niyan, desperation. Kung titignan mo, ang mga countries na bumabalik, nagsacycle, pabalik doon sa isang leader na tinalsik nila, ang bumabalik lang ay yung hindi nakapag-deliver ng promise of that upheaval, of that revolution, call it.
So,
diba?
Casually speaking, ito yung parang nakipagbalikan ka sa ex mo kasi parang baka nagbago na siya.
That's a different thing altogether.
It is, but it isn't, because we're talking about something that's so, at this point, it's so emotional.
No, I think wrong yung premise No? Dahil hindi nila ex yun hindi pa nila nasubukan yun at gusto nila subukan sa ngayon. Ito yung mga bata na nakita nila yung isang artista na malayo, artistang ina-idolize ng nanay o lolo nila, no? Tapos gusto nila subukan yun. Sana ganun yung mangyari din sa atin.
Kailangan pa bang umabot doon sa point that they would desire to actually have a taste of what was in the past? Kailangan pa bang umabot sa punto na yon if only the educational system somehow manage to equip the youth, a large percentage of our voters at least?
Yeah, that's the point. No? Kung tama lang yung pagtuturo natin ng history sa mga bata, kung tama lang yung pag-e-educate natin, maski sa ordinaryong citizen, outside of our formal educational system, sa tingin ko hindi naman mauulit to.
So balik natin dun sa kanina, sinabi na media nga has failed, right? We were asking, has media failed? But then, because if media did fail, that means somebody failed before media. Because if we had to take on the cudgels of the education system, then may something wrong na talaga doon, di ba?
Yeah, it's an institution. It's all these social institutions, governmental agencies, ang nag-fail. Hindi lang naman media yun.
Now, I'm going to drive the conversation this time around on the Robredo campaign. I mean, they have called it, it's not really much a campaign. In fact, ang tawag nga nila dito, People's Campaign.
Right.
You have Robredo calling it a crusade already, some a pink movement. Anong nasimulan dito? What do you think should change? And what should continue if at least the opposition would want to secure a better future 6 years from now?
Kasi nagsimula ang Robredo campaign, anti-Marcos na kaagad. Ang Marcos campaign nagsimula sa pag-rebrand ng family niya. Kaya magkaiba Ang isa context ng pagbabago ng historical facts, no, about the family, about pinagdaanan ng country. Ang isa ay sumabak kaagad doon sa political electoral context, 'di ba? So iba yung perception ng mga tao niyan, no? Mas naa-absorb nila yung simula pa, even before 2016, sinimula na ng mga Marcoses yun pagre-rebrand ng family. At yun ay mas effective. Kaya nga, too late napilitan ang Robredo campaign na sumabak kaagad doon sa electoral context na. Kung nagsimula sana ito 3 years ago or 6 years, no? Wala naman kasi siyang binabalak na maging presidente. Pero kung naging vice president siya, may ambition siyang maging presidente, sinimulan niya na sana ito. Mas larger context, mas longer yung history na ipapaliwanag, i-educate niya sa mga voters. I think mas maa-absorb yun.
So had she been more assertive earlier in the race, then things could have panned out differently
Or
this
had
time.
she
Iba kasing
probably...
perception.
Are you talking about...
No, iba yung perception kasi pag nasa electoral contest na
right.
ay politika lang yan. Masama yung connotation ng politika sa atin
Kumbaga,
politika lang
she should
yan.
have wanted to run before the start of, any election talk, any pre-election period, so to speak. Pero I think, kasi nga, late nga siya nag-announce. So, right on time. Meron pa tayong, of course, we were covering the news then na parang pinag-iisipan, then hinahabol pa natin
Yeah,
siya.
sincerely,
by a
ayaw niya
report.
tumakbo.
Exactly.
Sana.
And do you think that was actually naramdaman niya nung tao? That people felt that? That she was
I don't
that
think so.
hesitation?
hindi naman na hesitation, kundi ang pagsabak niya sa laban ay yung laban na mismo. Walang preparation. No? So, hindi niya masyadong na-present yung context ng pagtatakbo niya. Di ba? Nalagay ka agad doon sa context ng politika lang yan. No? Yung masamang connotation ng politika lang yan. No?
So, picking up from that point, what should they build on, at least the opposition, from this point on?
Sa tingin ko, kailangan talaga i-educate na mas malalim ang mga tao. And I think, hindi naman na good na si Marcos yung nanalo, no? Para sa akin, no? Aktivista ako sa panahon ng diktadorya, no? Ayaw kong sabihin na good na bumabalik sila. Ang gusto ko lang sabihin na opportunity din ito ng mga anti-Marcos elements ng society, no? Ng sector, na i-push yung pag-educate ng tao pa doon sa lessons ng martial law, doon sa ano ba talagang nangyari sa martial law.
Earlier on nga in our coverage, no, we were here with Professor Ton Contreras and Mr. Ronald Llamas, and they were saying that may something pa rin na nakuha out of this election. No? Something was born here. We're not exactly sure what it is, but it could be the beginning of something now for the opposition to successfully, lobby this into something bigger 6 years from now in 2028. Of course, they would have to maybe take a page from Marcos's playbook and start as early as now or as early as tomorrow, right? But how much work would they then have to put in to counter what we've seen just in the last few months?
Siyempre, malaking trabaho talaga yan. Educating the whole society na nagsisimula ka sa ganito ka-divisive na elections, no? Very polarized ang society. Mahirap talaga yan. Pero the opposition should reach out doon sa mga magiging administration ngayon. No?
Sir Earl, ano sa tingin niyo yung magiging dynamics? I mean, we have to bring back the Dutertes into the picture here. After all, Sara, presumably, of course, will win the vice presidency here. So what role are they going to play under the Marcos presidency, particularly President Rodrigo Duterte? In-expect na ba natin completely out of the picture na si Digong after this?
Sa tingin ko, hindi naman. Pero hindi na siya ganun ka-dominant na political figure. Unang-una, ang anak niya ay hindi naman talaga yung nagtitake ng command from him.
Okay.
No? So, Sara, sabi ko nga sa libro na sinulat ko, talagang may independent-minded yan siya. At least from her father, no? Iba yung set ng mga tao niya, ibang set ng advisors niya, no? So, the president sa ngayon ay sa tingin ko magdi-diminish yung role niya.
Right. So let's talk about that. So diminishing your role ng kanyang tatay, si President Rodrigo Duterte, but there's also other power players here. When we're talking about Sara Duterte, she did of course run under Lakas CMD, which is of course Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's party. How does a former president come into play here? And will we expect to see her hand in what? Will Mayor Sara take, advice from former President Arroyo when she, minsan sinusuway nga niya yung presidente niya or hindi nga siya makontrol ng sarili niyang tatay?
Ang magiging role ni Sara ngayon ay role ng Vice President. Ang magiging role ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo ay magiging Speaker ng House. Di ba? So,
Sara
sino
ba?
yung mas magiging
Gloria
powerful?
Ba or si Martin Romualdez?
Sa tingin ko, ang mas magiging powerful would be the Speaker of the House over the Vice President.
Okay.
Yung real power. No? So, pero nandyan pa rin yung pamilya. How powerful Aimee would be. Or kaya, si wife ni Bongbong. Di ba? So, ito yung sa tingin ko kailangan obserbahan na ano yung magiging dynamics nito mga power groups. No?
Okay, so ang binabantayan mo si Aimee Marcos.
Aimee Marcos, si
Liza Araneta
Marcos, Then, of course, nandyan si Imelda, pero although medyo hindi na siya ganon ka-active. No? Then, of course, si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, then Erap perhaps, no? Or maski si Johnny Ponce Enrile, no? Magkakaroon ng role yon. Mga minor na yon.
So, ang pagbabalik, no? Ng, very
Pagbabalik
familiar
talaga.
What's your real assessment here of the relationship between Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Sara Duterte? Do you think like Marcos Jr. would keep a watchful eye on Sara as well?
I don't think na si Marcos Jr. will micromanage the government.
Okay.
Okay.
Maski nga sa pagpipili ng cabinet, I don't think na siya yon.
Okay,
No?
so sino? Yun ang
Sino?
tanong. Sa tingin ninyo, sino?
Yung kaninang binanggit ko.
Okay,
It
the
would
same
be
cast of-
GMA, it would be Lisa Araneta Marcos, and Amy.
Okay, let's look at another interesting thing about this race, this particular race, no, is that magka-partner sila. Yung unity team ang
Unity.
nanalo in
Yes.
both of
Oo
them.
nga.
And we don't usually see that, na yung president at yung vice president natin galing sa same party. I actually cannot even remember the last
last
time it
time.
happened since nagkamalay ako. No?
Oo nga.
Medyo
No,
mahirap na
Baka si
mag-isip.
Sir Earl kaya.
No, they're not. They don't come from the same party.
Yeah.
No.
So, but what can we expect? You know,
Under the
like,
same ticket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same ticket,
ticket,
but
yes.
not the same party. No?
So will
Kasi wala
paths
naman
diverge after this?
Yes, I think
Paths
they will
will
diverge. Yes. I think paths will diverge. Why? Dahil iba-iba. One, wala naman talagang totoong party system dito.
Right.
Wala namang program-based or ideology-based party dito. Ibig sabihin, family ang pinag-uusapan dito. Personal ang pinag-uusapan dito. No? Magkaiba ang personality ni Bongbong at ni Sara. No? Kaya magda-diverge yan. No? Secondly, iba-iba yung papakinggan nilang advisors. No? Hindi lahat mapagbibigyan. No? Kaya talagang magkakaroon yan ng conflict. Maski sa campaign, nagkaroon ng conflict sa naririnig ko yung iba't ibang mga teams nila.
Okay. Now, this time again, tutuloy natin yung usapan natin mamaya, Sir Earl. Pero ngayon, we just have to go through some details here. You have 86% of votes already transmitted. Let's get some updates from the PPCRV Command Center in UST Manila from Camille Samonte. Camille, what do you have for us?
Jess, Shawn, sa mga oras nga na ito, tuloy-tuloy yung pagpasok ng mga boto sa transparency server ng COMELEC. Sa ngayon, wala pa namang glitch or delay na natatanggap na report yung PPCRV. Sa ngayon, si Bongbong Marcos pa rin ang nangunguna base sa partial at unofficial tally ng COMELEC ng transparency server ng COMELEC. Si Marcos Jr. ay meron ng 27 million votes. Sinundan siya ni VP Leni Robredo na may 13 million votes at pangatlo si Senator Manny Pacquiao. Habang sa vice presidential race, nangunguna pa rin si Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte na sinundan ni Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Pero ito, Jess, napakalayo pa rin ng agwat ni Mayor Sara Duterte at ni Senator Kiko Pangilinan dahil si Duterte ay higit 27 million na boto na yung pumasok sa kanya habang higit 8 million naman kay Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Pero ngayon dito sa PPCRV Command Center, dumating na yung first batch ng physical copies ng election returns na siya namang manually i-encode ng mga volunteer dito sa PPCRV. So ito yung ginagawa ng PPCRV para doon sa kanilang parallel count. Jess,
Camille,
Shawn?
so far, ano yung naging assessment ng PPCRV sa overall conduct ng elections? Are they saying that it's been relatively peaceful, at the same time naging smooth ba? Despite, of course, since early this morning, bumungad sa atin, napakadaming problema about VCMs.
Oo, Jess, alam mo na itanong nga natin yung kanina nung hapon nung nag-press con sila at sinabi ni PPCRV spokesperson Attorney Van de la Cruz na hindi naman daw ganun ka-alarming yung mga yung number ng VCMs na nag-malfunction. Kasi kanina, naka-receive sila ng report na at least 200 yung request for replacement ng VCMs. Pero sinasabi nila, kinukumpara kasi nila just dun sa mga nakaraang eleksyon eh. Sinasabi nila na kung ikukumpara daw sa previous elections like noong 2016, mas kakaunti daw ngayon yung mga VCM na nag-malfunction, pati yung SD card. At yung itong replacement na nai-report na na-receive na nila, nationwide na yon, hindi naman daw galing lang sa isang location. So, tingin naman nila, so far, manageable naman daw yung situation. Jess?
Camille, I was just wondering, no, ang dami kasing namamangha nga sa bilis ng ating transmission. And I'm trying to recall so hard, no, from 2019, from 2016.
2019 may 7-hour glitch.
May 7-hour glitch, right? Wala tayong nakitang ganun ngayon. Pero yung speed ng pagpasok ng votes, at least before the glitch in 2019, and even compared to 2016, na we're using the same machines naman, bakit parang it seems faster? Kasi maraming
nagtatanong dito. That also is causing some
dito.
doubt, eh, no?
It
Sa
is
utak
causing
ng
a lot
ibang
of
mga
doubt.
botante.
And it's, being the source of a lot of complaints. May paliwanag ba ang PPCRV dyan, Camille?
Alam mo, Shawn, binalik lang din sa atin yung ating tanong tungkol dyan. Kasi ang sinasabi nila, ang COMELEC daw talaga yung makakasagot niyan. Pero natatandaan ko kanina, may naisabi rin naman ng COMELEC, I think sa press con nila kanina, na talagang pinaghandaan daw nila yung pag-transmit nga ng mga boto. Dahil nga sa noong 2019, pinoint out mo nga, no, napakatagal, I think 7 or 8 hours yata yung glitch na yon na talagang hindi nag-a-update yung bilang, yung pag-transmit ng boto. So talagang pinaghandaan na raw talaga nila ito. Kaya mabilis na yung pag-reflect ng boto. Shawn, Jess?
Alright, maraming salamat for those updates again. Camille Samonte reporting live over at the PPCRV headquarters in Manila.
All right, let's continue the discussion, Jess, with political analyst Earl Perani, who's still with
Political
us right now.
analyst, ano ba mas accurate?
Oo
Or
nga,
political strategist?
What do we call you?
Okay,
How do you like to be addressed?
I don't know.
Ano?
Mas gusto kong tawagin niyo akong Earl.
Earl na lang.
Without the
Okay.
designation
Let's continue
muna.
the discussion with Earl.
Yes.
Maganda yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina.
Okay, yes. Oo. So, I want to bring back the discussion dun nga sa magiging dynamics ni Marcos at ni Duterte. And the possibility that, are we setting the stage here for what's going to happen in 2028 as well?
Mahirap sabihin na same
Masyado pa
thing
maaga.
will happen. No? Masyadong maaga. Hindi natin alam anong magiging galaw ng mga anti-Marcos forces. No? Hindi natin alam kung anong magiging relasyon ni Bongbong at ni Sara at yung iba pa niyang mga political supporters. No? Marami pang mga bagay na kailangan natin alam.
I-advance na lang natin, no? Masyadong long-term. Sige, fine. Yung
Right,
2020,
no,
medyo matagal pa. Hindi pa nga tayo nakakahinga from
But may
2022. First 100 days na lang early. Anong nakikita mo sa first 100 days?
First 100 days. Sa tingin ko, sa first months, they'll be feeling
Each other out,
Yes. Siyempre, tansyahan. Pero ito din yung appointment ng mga key positions. So, makikita mo na yung conflict na mangyayari dyan. So, makikita mo kung sino talaga ang papakinggan ni Bongbong sa mga ganito. Based doon sa mga appointment.
Sa mga ma-appoint.
Pero more than the politics, what I'm interested about is that there's still that anti-Marcos sentiment. In fact, now, pumunta ka lang sa social media, a lot of people are already instigating the possibility of going to EDSA, protesting.
Yes.
Are we going to expect that in the near term, for that to be extended, in the next few months or so, or even the year?
Yeah. In the next 3 years, you expect, based na rin sa performance ng bagong administration, you expect something, upheaval. No?
Are you expecting an electoral protest as well?
sa tingin ko, depende yon anong maa-uncover ng mga evidence ng mga watchdogs at saka explanation ng COMELEC hinggil sa samut-saring complaints. No? Kailangan i-establish ng COMELEC ang credibility nitong process na ito. No? Maraming, syempre, wala pa tayong 24 hours, no? Sa ngayon.
Wala pa nga tayo sa 100% actually.
Yeah, wala pa
Nasa
tayo sa
86.65% pa lang
sa tingin
tayo.
ko, ano,
Parang ganun na rin.
Parang ganun. It will...
maraming hindi pa, maraming actually, yung supporters ni Robredo, I think, maraming natulala. No? At unti-unti nilang ma-realize siguro ano ba talagang nangyari, and I think they will take action. No?
But let's, a lot of pundits that we've had on today, we've always been conjecturing about how this election has set so many precedents, right? In terms of the power of social media, what role it has played. Of course, everyone's saying, pending the results of the election, titignan natin, pag-aaralan natin yung mga campaigns, no? Did social media play like a really big part in this election? Or is it really an echo chamber for one's own beliefs?
I think two things. One, it's really an echo chamber, except that the Marcos camp was able to establish a much, much bigger echo chamber dahil ang construction niya nagsimula pa even before 2016.
So advanced preparation.
Yeah, advanced preparation. Pero another thing, sa social media, ang na-observe ko, dito sa Pilipinas, ang social media ay nagsiset lang ng brand. Parang role ng TV dati. Actually, inagaw lang, lumipat lang sa social media ang TV ads. At anong percentage ng nai-influence ng TV ads noon, ganun din ang percentage ng nai-influence ng social media.
Is that a significant percentage?
May isa akong study na nabasa na ang conversion rate ng social media ay about 14% lang. Kasi sa elections, tatlo lang naman stages ng elections. One, yung message mo, no? Awareness, that's the first stage. Then the second stage is vote conversion. No? And third, yung vote protection. From awareness to conversion, yun yung mahalaga. Para sa akin, ang pinaka-importante pa rin sa stage niyan, ang ground. Kaya kailangan pa rin ng handshaking, kailangan pa rin ng house-to-house, na late na ginawa ito ng Lenny campaign. No? Ang ginawa naman ng Bongbong campaign at ng Sara campaign ay dinaan nila itong ground sa local government officials. No? Doon nila binuhos ang budget para sa ground dahil may command votes na ito. Sabi ko nga kanina, command votes talaga ay importante doon sa ground.
Yan na ba yung yung so-called dati na numbers game pag pinag-uusapan natin ang national politics, no? Parang always yan based, syempre sa numero.
Yeah, lahat naman ng elections naka-base talaga sa numero ito.
And speaking of numbers, do you think things would have panned out differently had it been from the get-go, dalawang kandidato lang yung pinag-uusapan natin?
Yes, I think so.
How much of a difference?
Kung nagka-unite ang mga majority ng tumakbo against kay Marcos, sa tingin ko mas malaki ang chance. No?
Mas malaki yung chance, pero pag
But looking
mag-rough
at the numbers,
calculation tayo, parang kapus pa rin.
No, kasi sa ngayon, dahil solo si Robredo against Marcos, solo si Pacquiao against Marcos, solo si Isko against Robredo, solo si Lacson sa hindi mo alam kung against Marcos o Robredo. No? So, ganun. Kung si Pacquiao na against Marcos ay nagsanib kay Robredo, hindi lang plus 3 million yan eh.
Would have taken other votes as well.
Yes, oo. Mas lalawak yan. Ibig sabihin, ang nakuha nila dahil may reduction na yun, may trimming na yun eh, doon sa pagsusolo nila.
May mga nalalaglag.
Kung may synthesis yung mangyayari eh. 'Di ba? Pag nagsanib yan. Yun yung essence actually sa sinasabi ni Lacson noon na tingnan natin, sige magsimula tayo sa race, pero at the end of the day, kung malapit na talaga ang election, magsanib tayo against sa pagbabalik ng mga Marcoses.
Obviously, Earl, no, walang nag-take nung advice na yun ni Senator Lacson.
Yeah, maski si Lacson,
Maski
hindi niya
siya.
rin tinake
Oo, maski siya.
ng sarili niyang advice. Dahil ang team niya, sinasabi, pag hindi ka umabot ng 15% by December, dapat makipag-usap ka na sa
Number
top
2.
opposition.
And why
Kay
did none of
Robredo,
this
ayaw
happen?
niya.
Bakit kaya?
Ang sagot niya sa lumapit sa kanya, sundalo ako patay kung patay.
Andun
Kaya
ka na sa
sinagot
giyera.
siya nang kumausap sa kanya, Sir, politiko kami. Partner, politiko kami. Hindi naman kami pwedeng patay. Hindi kami sundalo. Ganon. Concept, ang ganda pakinggan, macho, pero hindi yan sa politika. Patay kung patay, wala namang ganyan sa politika. Di ba?
Totoo, iba naman ang nangaran. Having said that, no, syempre si Senator Ping Lacson, as a lot of people said, siya yung may pinaka-meaty na CV, you know. Why has he not, he's run for president and 20 years ago, 1992, or was it 1998?
I think in fact this is even a lower turnout for him compared to when he
Yes.
first
Yes,
ran.
it's like diminishing
First run niya
returns
is-
for him.
Yeah, mga 2 million siya sa last time 2004.
So, nasa kultura na lang ba natin? Or talagang, nagsawa na lang ba yung tao sa kanya? Anong nagyari dyan, Earl?
Sa tingin ko, natikman na nila Actually, ang campaign, yun yung pagtitikim ng mga
Subukan
tao.
natin yung
Nasubukan.
bago. Nasubukan
oo.
na siya.
Nasubukan niya siya, na-expose niya na lahat ang kaluluwa niya nung
Okay.
campaign na yon. Wala nang bago para sa mga tao.
Now, what
Kaya
happened
walang nananalo na reruns.
Right. Now, what happened here to Mayor Isko Moreno? Is it a case of a little too early for him? Or what happened at the latter parts of the campaign, of course, has been very controversial.
Alam mo, ang campaign kasi, pag pumasok ka sa middle part ng campaign, ma-expose talaga yung pagkatao mo No? Madali kung sa simula, yung message mo, uy, bagong tunog nito. No? Pero pag nandoon ka na sa middle ng campaign, pagsalamuha ka na sa tao, ibig sabihin, nandoon ka na sa stage ng vote conversion. Nare-realize ng mga tao, hindi ito gusto kong produkto. Maghahanap ako ng iba. Tapos sa stage na yan, mas marami ng mga kandidatong pumupunta sa kanila. Dahil vote conversion stage na ngayon no? So, ang tendency ay, kung ayaw nila, babagsak talaga. Whereas si Lenny, nung pumuntang field, nakita ng mga tao na, uy, ito yung gusto namin. Kaya umangat siya. From 2% pa or mababa, umaangat siya. Ang crucial stage actually sa elections, galing sa awareness. Lahat sila 99%, 100% ang awareness niyan Bago mag-February 8.
Patas lahat.
Yes, patas yan lahat. Dahil mga national figures na yan sila lahat No? Unlike kay Lyodi, unlike kay
Faisal Magundato.
di ba? So pagdating nila sa vote conversion, patas yan sila lahat. No? Doon nakikita ng mga tao kung yun ba ang gusto nilang produkto.
I think pagpapatuloy natin yan mamaya, but I guess, Shawn, we still have some more updates here.
Right, let's circle back to the local election scene. We have re-electionist Olongapo Mayor Rolen Paulino Jr. leading the race with over 48,000 votes. And he's joining us right now. Mayor, good morning.
Good morning, Mayor.
Hi, good morning po. Magandang umaga po sa lahat and everyone joining us this morning. Good morning to all of us.
All right, this is your second term, Mayor Paulino. Of course, actually, interestingly enough, I was just in the province. So nakita ko yung mga voters. Napaka-star-studded, Mayor. Napaka-star-studded ng mga posters dyan, no, sa baluarte ninyo.
Kamusta so far ang bilangan dyan sa inyong lugar, sir?
Actually po, we're already at around 20%. Pero ano po, since po doon sa transparent server, po ng Comelec, nagkaroon na po ng ongoing problem with transmission. So, officially pa po kami kasi yun na nga. Pero yun sa mga partial and official po, medyo okay na.
Alright, kumusta naman ang conduct of elections dyan sa Olongapo? Naging swabe ba or may aberya din nung una?
Fairly smooth naman po. Yun lang, initially in the morning, medyo mabagal siya. Pero napaliwanagan naman po yung mga tao na kaya po siya matagal kasi pinapauna yung mga senior citizens and yung mga other priority voters.
Mayor Paulino, kumpiyansa na tayo of another win here for you?
Well, I think based on the data that we have, kasi yung sa partial and official po, 60% rin siya. And at this point, the still possibility na po na makahabol yung second phase. So, on that, medyo confident naman ako, pero until officially proclaimed siya, sila po dami talaga.
At kamusta naman, how did the rest of your slate fare there in Olongapo? Marami ba sa inyong nanalo? Landslide win ba? Or mixed bag rin siya?
Well, panalo po yung congressman namin, myself, tapos wala kaming pinield na vice mayor, and then out of the 9 councilors that we had, 7 are already in, and we're hoping that the 2 more will also break through the top 10.
All right, and how is the national election result shaping up, at least from, the returns there in Olongapo? Who
Is it
won
turning
there?
out the way you wanted to be or at least predicted it to be?
Actually, yes po. Sa ngayon po, it's also President Bongbong Marcos. So, we're also following the trend in the national scene. So, practically mga 70%, yung mga 70% yung kay President Marcos.
All right, thank you. And congratulations, I guess, Mayor Roland Paulino Jr. from Olongapo City. Congratulations, Mayor. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Good morning, Mayor. Okay, let's continue our discussion with Sir Earl. Ito medyo magpapaka-hypothetical lang ako dito. I mean, useless na pag-usapan kasi hindi naman ito yung naging scenario. But I mean, surveys pa lang makita natin early on, nung matunog pa yung pangalan ni Sara Duterte as a possible presidential aspirant, siya talaga yung nangunguna. Had it been na tinuloy-tuloy niya yun, she didn't run for VP, anong maging possible scenario?
One, sa tingin ko, majority ng local government officials, elected officials, ay susupport sa kanya. Malaki ang chance niya na siya yung mananalo, no? Although sa tingin ko kung si Robredo ay pumasok din earlier, sa tingin ko it would be a very interesting fight.
Sinong magkakahatian ng boto?
Ayun.
Yun ang tanong.
Si Bongbong ay hahati kay Sara. No? Kasi ang opposition ay mag-solidify, no? It would be, ang opposition sila yung magpapanawagan ng change eh. Mas klaro kasi ito na change versus status quo. No? Dahil Duterte. Ito kasing kay Bongbong, hindi ito pagbabalik ng status quo kundi pag-i-impose ng bago or how do you call that? No? Pagbabalik ng dating-dati pa.
Reintroducing
reintroducing or
Reintroducing the rebranded version, kumbaga.
yes,
Ang dami lahat na
it's not even reintroduction eh. It's yung parang anyway.
But we get her point. We get her point.
Yes. Malinaw naman, no? Pero ito rin, actually, you're right, that Lenny rebrand. She got into the game a little late. She also came with her own rebrand. Had she had more time to do her rebranding, do you think she would have succeeded this much in terms of numbers?
I think kung napaaga lang talaga si Robredo, I think malaki chance niya against kay Marcos.
But what's going to happen to the opposition now, especially Leni Robredo? Basically, we don't have a major opposition figure now if ganito na yung magiging scenario. So, what do we expect from Leni and from the opposition?
Ang kay Leni naman, ang opposition naman ni Leni ay hindi naka-base sa elected officials.
Okay.
Ang opposition niya ay yung civil society. No? So, I think itutuloy nila to.
Actually, Jess, naisip ko lang, di pa natin pinag-uusapan yung nagyari sa Senado, no?
Right.
Because normally, when we talk about national politics, of course, it's all about the executive. But as it has happened over the last 6 years, we've seen the importance of the Senate. Right? And how these alliances work.
Right.
Kanina, we were asking Senator JV nga, no? Kung
saan
saan siya papanig, di ba?
Around sa chart. Would you be willing to play that game with us, sir?
Let's play this game. Game talaga to.
Guessing game lang naman ito eh.
Sige, Coach Jester, ilabas mo na ang ating
Let's
whiteboard.
come up here with our senatorial slate. Again, from the title itself, very self-explanatory. Ano ang magiging political alignments sa Senado? This time, kanina, nilaro na namin to nila Robbie Alampay at nila Gretchen, kung ano ang posibleng maging political alignment sa Senado. Should Ferdinand Marcos Jr. be the president? Sir Earl, your take first. Dito muna tayo sa mga possible winners here. Again, hindi lang ito updated. As you can see right here, you have Jojo Binay, not necessarily part of the top 12, even Senator Dick Gordon. Pero piliin na lang natin so far yung mga kasama sa Magic 12 natin. Saan natin sila ilalagay in this particular chart? Administration, swing, or opposition? Simulan natin. Any particular candidate or senatoriable, Shawn, that you want to go first with?
Let's go for the current number 1, Robin Padilla. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Easy start.
Administration,
Administration,
Of course.
Okay,
dun tayo sa medyo mga interesting. Halimbawa, magkapatid na ehersito, JV and Jinggoy. Sir Earl.
Jinggoy would be administration.
Definitely, since it's part of the unit team,
Yes.
How about JV?
Mag-i-swing yan siya.
Oh, why? Is it really just because of the rift between the two brothers, or?
Hindi si JV ang history niya kasi ang track record niya hindi naman siya talaga doon sa extreme Di ba? Kaya niya maglaro both sa administration and sa opposition. Kaya mag-i-swing yun siya.
Pero nabanggit niya kanina, no? Sabi niya, nung tinanong namin ni Jester, no, nung balak niya, at saan siya lulugar, ang sabi niya, kailangan ko muna kausapin yung mga friends ko doon. Ang nabanggit niya, Mig Zubiri.
Yun. Sa eka. Okay. Mig Zubiri, speaking of which, more or less, of course,
alam na natin,
expected naman natin
administration.
yan. It's
He
going to
was a
be
spice boy way back when.
Ito yung very curious ako. What's the opposition going to look like here? I mean, definitely, Rizza Ontiveros.
Si Rizza na lang
that's a
ata yung
given.
mag-opposition
She's going to be a
Alone
member
din?
of the opposition. Who's going to be with her? Even in holdovers. Sige, sabihin na
sige,
natin.
lagyan natin from the holdover.
Mukhang wala
What about Nancy Binay?
Coco Pimentel, for example.
Yeah,
What are your
si
thoughts?
Coco.
PDP laban, of course.
Yeah, Coco can be opposition, pero pwede rin yan siyang mag-swing.
Do you think it's more or less going to be a swing senator? Would you agree, Shawn? Or at least your insights on
It's
that one?
possible. I mean, saan
Sige,
natin siya? Lagay natin
so,
muna siya sa swing.
Swing muna no?
Yes.
Okay.
Nancy
What about
Binay?
Nancy Binay?
Knowing that the father, of course, is a guest candidate under the ticket of Vice President Leni Robredo.
Yeah. Mag-i-swing din yan. Di yan
Swing,
mag-all,
not entirely opposition,
Yes.
you think? Okay.
Di yan mag-all-out opposition.
Grace Poe.
Grace po,
Swing din
interesting.
Swing?
Grace po would be swing.
Why is that, sir?
Dahil walang mga politiko na hindi ideolog, no? Ang through and through opposition. Mag-i-swing yan sila, maglalaro yan sila.
Okay.
Kakaiba kay Rizza. May ideology si Rizza eh.
Well, yeah. This
What
time...
ba ito? Yung
Go.
magkapatid na Cayetano.
Ayan. Very interesting. I mean, of
Yeah,
course,
magbabalik si
considering
Alan
way back in 2016, medyo matinding girian to between Marcos and Cayetano.
Yeah.
So,
Pero
what's going to happen?
mag-i-swing yan. Yung
Not
dalawa,
both of them?
Yes,
Or?
both
Both of
of
them,
them.
you think?
Yes. Although Pia, posibleng mas kikiling sa opposition later.
Posible bang maghiwalay sila? Ng
Posible.
landas?
Yes. Oo.
You think?
Yeah.
Possible. Ito, I'm interested to know, Bongo and Bato de la Rosa, where are you going to place them, especially Bongo, considering, the popular notion is that it's not really that much in good terms with the Vice President.
Yes. Pero survival yan eh.
Okay.
Kaya mag-administration.
Administration. Bato de la Rosa?
Yes.
Administration pa rin. Pretty much a
Eh
given.
may...
Parang interesting,
May-
Jester. Sino pang pwede nating ilagay
Yun
sa
na nga.
opposition?
Sino pwedeng makasama ni Rizza Ontiveros? Mas
Kaya nga, sa
mas
tingin ko,
generous
wala
pa yung
eh.
batch namin kanina.
Oo nga
mga
eh.
ilan pa kami nilagay. Earlier, I think we did place Nancy Bina in the opposition, also Coco Pimentel as part of the opposition.
What about
This time,
Cheese
wala,
Escudero?
Cheese Escudero, yes.
Mag-i-swing si Cheese.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why is that, sir?
Again, politics naman yung nagko-control niyan sa kanila. Politics as we know politics. No? It's not ideology. It's not even program.
At syempre, yung mag-inang Villar.
Yes. Nasa administration yung mag-inang
And also, since napag-usapan na natin yung magkakapamilya, what is this going to say na meron tayong ilang mga magkakapamilya, magkakapatid at mag-ina dito sa ating Senado? What message is that sending? And how is that going to change the dynamics of the upper chamber as well?
Dynamics ng chamber pareho pa rin, no? Except na madodoble yung influence nila doon sa mga colleagues nila, no?
Right.
So kung may ipapasa silang bill for instance, no? Mas malaki yung magiging chance niyan dahil dalawa nga silang naglalabi niyan or maglalabi ng bills.
Shawn, paano ba yan? Mag-isa pa rin yung opposition dito.
Hindi ko na nga alam kung sino pa pong pwede nating ilagay dyan. Siyempre si Idol
I
Rafi
mean, of
Tulfo,
course.
malamang they all run in the administration ticket.
Rafi
But
Tulfo, what do you think? O nga naman, of Rafi Tulfo.
He-
Na
administration.
yes,
Yes.
mag-a-admin yan siya.
Pero pwede pa ito magbago, Earl. Kasi ang nakikita natin, no? So, in the past 6 years, parang yung Senate na lang talaga yung medyo may nakikita tayong kontrang malakas sa ehekutibo.
May pushback ng kahit paano.
Throughout all these things that have gone over Congress's head, at least the lower house, the House of Representatives, medyo nandyan, no, na nagsisafeguard yung Senado. Anong magyayari ngayon? Can we still, pwede pa ba natin yung asahan sa ating bagong Senado?
Hindi, ganito kasi ang Senado. Ang Senado elected gaya ng Presidente and Vice President. Ibig sabihin, para sa kanila, sila yung next sa na pwedeng tumakbo no, as President. Actually, sa time lang naman ni Binay at saka ni Duterte talaga nagkaroon ng presidential candidate na galing sa mayorship. No? Pero pag naging senador ka, ang iniisip mo kaagad,
May pag-asa
isang
ba
rang
ako?
na lang, no?
Nandun ka na.
Nandoon ka na sa top. So, lahat yan, day one pa lang mag-iisip yan. Lahat ng batas na ifa-file nila, lahat ng mga actions nila, yung image nila, the brand,
The branding.
ikra-craft na nila yan pag naging senador ka. No? So, maglalaro yan. Administration, pero later, pag umabot na medyo may problema ang administration, pupunta yan sa swing
Right.
o kaya mag-o-opposition yan.
Actually,
Ganon
just tignan
yan.
nga natin kung nagbago ba. Baka naman may nagbago. We never know, di ba?
Tingnan natin, senatorial list.
Yes.
Okay, let's go. This one again, still Robin Padilla taking the top spot here. 23.7 million votes. Pretty much around mga ano na rin eh. And actually, a million votes, close to 2 million votes really ahead of former Senator Lauren Legarda with 21.9 million votes. Idol Rafi coming in third with 21.2. And then you also have Win Gatchalian at the fourth spot with 18.7 million votes. Jesus Escudero, whom we talked to earlier as well, now at 18.4 million votes. And then capping off our top six, you have Mark Villar with 17.5 million votes. Now also at number 7, Alan Peter Cayetano at 17.4. Mig Zubiri, number 8 with 16.9 million votes. Then Joel Villanueva also with 16.8. There's also JV Ejercito again at 14.3. Rizza Ontiveros already with 14 million votes. Jinggoy Estrada capping off our top 12 at 13.6. May pagkakataon pa ba, Sir Earl? As you can see, Binay now with 12 million votes, Herbert Bautista with 11.8, and Gibo Chodoro with 11.4 million votes or close to 11.5 million votes. May chance pa bang makasabit sila dito sa top 12 and then bump off 1 or 2 of our top 12 contenders so far?
Sa tingin ko, mahihirapan with 86%.
88%.
88.6% as of now.
Medyo mahirap na. Mukhang
Yeah,
sure
mahirap.
shot na tayo so far
Yes.
with the top 12. Mahirap
Pwede
na.
mag-change niyan, 10, 11, 12. Yung
Ganun na lang,
position
ranking na lang,
Yes.
positioning na lang. I see.
Okay, so may nabawasan tayo ng isang mag-ama, potentially, no, sa Senado. But this does not remove the fact
But at the
that
same
ang
time, yung
daming
kapatid ka pa rin.
ang daming magkakapatid.
May
Pag pinasok mo yung mag-ama,
magkakapatid, may
mababump off lang yung
mag-ina.
isang magkapatid. Parang ganun.
Pero, etong magkapatid, at least medyo hindi natin sure, no? Hindi
Kung
sila
sa-
ganun ka...
Exactly.
Yeah. For now. Pwede
For now.
magbago yon.
Okay, very interesting. Again, at silipin naman natin very quickly, vice presidential race. Bilang nandito na rin naman tayo. Let's have our heat map right here. So, country pretty much in green here. Sara Duterte leading the race with 28.4 million votes. Again, Kiko Pangilinan with 8.4 and Tito Soto with 7.5 million votes. Compare that, of course, to the presidential race with Ferdinand Marcos Jr. now at 28.3 million votes and Leni Robredo with 13.5.
Alright. Nakita mo ba, no, na mag-number 1 si Robin Padilla? Kasi so far, I mean, he's done very, very well. He's always
Yes.
in the top 3, but he's never come out number 1 in any survey. if
Actually,
I'm not
no, come to
mistaken.
think of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
wala. It's normally, nung sa una, no, it was Idol Rafi, tas mamaya
Yes.
si Alan Peter Cayetano, then more recently, it was Lauren Legarda, Idol Rafi. Tas mga nasa number 3 to 4 languishing or number 3 to 4 spot alternating si Robin Padilla. Then he comes out now and it looks like he's number 1 and I don't think that's going to change.
Right.
What's going on there, Earl?
Hindi ko masyadong nasubaybayan, frankly, no? Honestly, si Robin Padilla. Mas si Rafi Tulfo pa yung naririnig ko palagi no? Sa ground na yun yung iboboto nila.
Following
Top of the
our
mind
branding, yeah, we've been talking about branding. Is it because Robin Padilla has been a brand for forever, pretty much?
For decades. Yeah.
Siguro, or yung kasipagan niya din pag-iikot eh. Mas masipag siya kay Tulfo sa pag-iikot. Si Tulfo kasi doon talaga sa TV, sa programs niya. No? Pero hindi ko siya nakikita doon sa ground. Except yung mga tail end na ng campaign. No? That's about mga amans. Pero
so may value
Robin,
talaga yung pagtawag nila, pagbababa.
Yeah, pagbababa. Handshaking. The old traditional type of campaigning. That house to house, palengke to palengke, community to community. Hindi yung pag-aano ng mga baby, yung mga ganyan.
What what about Lauren Legarda? I mean, okay, gets natin si Robin Padilla.
Yes.
Sikat siya di ba? Artista siya Gets natin si Idol Rafi, like you said, a very popular media personality, a former colleague of ours also. Lauren Legarda, also a former TV personality, I think commercial model siya way back in the day. But since then, medyo tanggap na natin na politiko si Lauren, di ba? She's been in Senate, she's been in Congress, and parang nagpahinga siya sa Congress, bumalik sa Senado. Now, when you're talking about nasubukan na natin, di ba, na-tried na, minsan mahirap na tumakbo ulit and get it, but somehow this does not apply to Senate. It seems kasi nakakabalik sila. Di ba, ang dami, like sila Cheese Escudero,
Yes.
Mig Subiria, a lot, including Lauren Legarda, and she's actually doing very well at number 2. What's
Ang
the story
key kasi
there?
dyan, pag naging senador ka, yung network na nabubuo mo habang nasa office ka. No? Karamihang senador, inaiikot yung buong Pilipinas sa 6-year term nila at least 3 times.
Okay.
Nakikilala nila yung governors, nagkakaroon sila ng relationship with the mayors and even with the barangay captains. So mahalaga ito. Again, babalik tayo doon sa command votes ng local government officials. So anong ginagawa nila? Magtatawag yun. Pare, tulungan nyo naman ako. 1 out of 12 lang naman yan eh. Ang dali ibigay niya ng isang governor. No? Yung command votes niya. Hihingi yung mga 10 senador ng tulong. No? Kaya niya yan. So makikita mo yun sa sample ballots. Pero early on, sasabihin na yan ng mga local government officials. Ito yung mga senador natin. So yun yung advantage. Bakit nakakabalik yan sila?
Taking off from our activity earlier, activity talaga yung tinawag yan.
Drill.
So, more or less, are we gearing up for another supermajority here for Congress? I mean, we're talking about both chambers.
This is more super than the
This is
super
more
of Duterte.
beyond what we had during the Duterte government.
Super mega.
Super, kasi nung Duterte, may super majority talaga siya sa
Yes,
lower
oo.
house, di ba? Pero yung upper house, medyo not so eh. Ngayon, parang both are based on our exercise na wala nga tayong malagay doon sa side ni
Opposition,
Rizza Ontiveros. This super majority, theoretically, it could work well, right?
But-
Theoretically,
Ako
or
nangangamba
it
ako
could
dyan.
have the completely
What does
opposite
that
effect.
Ako
also say about
nangangamba
the
ako
system
dyan.
of checks and balances?
Yes,
Ayun yun
nawawala yung checks and balance.
Correct.
No? Paano mo sa kanila pa yung Korte Suprema? Hopefully, magiging independent yung mga justices. Pero may kaugalian kasi tayong utang na loob eh. 'Di ba? Majority sa kanila ay in-appoint
Ni
ni
President
Presidente. No?
So that's the
yun.
thing. A lot of people are saying actually nga na parang this is one form of quote-unquote, dare I say the word, okay, I'm gonna say it, dictatorship, tyranny. It's a clean sweep. But it was done through, a democratic
means,
process. What do you make of this, Earl?
No, I don't
It's a
think
little
it's a
confound.
dictatorship. Pag dictatorship kasi ang mga institutions ay nawawala at
Okay.
nababaliwala. Ito, they have to respect institutions. At may malakas tayong civil society organizations. Ang civil society natin, the churches, even the business groups, the NGOs, etc., ay may boses ito.
But are these institutions, very institutions, in danger given that you have the administration holding a huge majority when it comes to different branches of government?
Yes and no. Yes, depende kung paano i-manipulate ng executive ni Bongbong or mga advisors niya, itong mga agencies na ito. No? No, kung ang dynamics ng civil society at ang government ay kung i-assert ng civil society ang rights ng people, ng citizens, doon sa ginagawa ng government. So, ang civil society yung mag-provide ng checks and balance. No? It's no longer the three agencies, no? That's three branches of the government. Kundi ito yung including media, no? The fourth estate.
The fourth
Ito yung
estate.
mag-provide ng checks and balance. Ang question ngayon, makuko-opt ba ang media ng administration?
Yung
No?
pa, yung
Yun pa.
relationship
Isa
natin
pa.
with the administration, it's been a
How
little fraught
interesting
and
is it going to be?
non-existent.
Yes.
To be part of the industry in the next 6 years.
I mean, Marcos has said, Bongbong Marcos has said na, hindi haharap ako, hindi na ako kukuha ng spokesman. Ako na mismo magsasalita every
And
day.
then on
This
the
could
other
not-
hand, you have our reporters on a daily
natutulak,
basis.
nalalaglag yung iba, diba, na echapuera, not being invited to that single press con. What do we make of this? And then what can we do? Humingi ng advice. What can we do?
Alam nyo, interesting yun na tingnan natin. Hindi sa first 100 days, kundi sa first 30 days. Paano
30
siya
days.
makipag-deal, makipag-engage sa media. Dahil pag gagawin niya yung lulusot-lusot siya, ayaw niya makipag-usap, no?
Papalag pa ba yung strategy na yon? We know that strategy, I guess it has worked. We can sort of say for whatever purpose. So it worked in his favor. But in the first month of his presidency, will that still work? The evasiveness, not
Of
wanting
course
to...
it will not dahil ang pag
But
administration
how would he-
ka, communications ang kailangan yun. How could you lead if you don't communicate your programs, your
How do you think
ideas to
he's
people?
going to carry it out? Would he carry it out on his own as he has proclaimed?
No, I think spokesperson pa rin yung mahalaga dyan. And yung ibang mga advisors niya, no?
I guess
will be
also,
speaking for him.
Ang tricky rin dito kasi it's not just about him and his relationship with the media, but at the same time, how the media, traditional media at that, is perceived by the population. That's why nag-work then in a way. I would, is that how you would assess kung bakit nag-work din yung, if we may call it, evasiveness ni Marcos pagdating sa media interviews?
Yeah, kasi may duda na kaagad ang mga tao sa media eh. Di ba? Bias yan, anti-Marcos yan, ganun yung defense nila eh. Sa ngayon, di nila pwedeng sabihin na, anti-government yan, dahil kailangan niya i-communicate yung policies niya sa mga tao. Di ba? Yun yung magiging problem niya talaga.
Alright, and wala ba kayong narinig from on the ground anong balak niya dito? Sino ang posibleng maging spokesperson niya? Is it still gonna be Attorney Vic na nakasanayan nating makausap when we wanna hear news from that side?
Frankly, wala pa akong naririnig.
Cabinet members, meron ka na bang natutunugan na may ingay? So far, meron kami mga kaunting naririnig, pangilan-ngilan, pero we want to hear from you.
Wala rin akong narinig.
Zero talaga.
Yes.
On that note, let's pause because just moments ago, alright, tama ba itong nakikita ko, Jess? Just
Okay, I
moments
think babalikan pa natin yan. We have to
Wala
make
pa.
sure of
Okay.
that. But so far, again, balikan natin yung usapin ng cabinet. It's going to be very crucial. Like what you mentioned earlier, it's going to rely really as well on some of the advisors during the election period. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and then even, of course, Amy Marcos.
And the wife, Lisa Marcos.
Oo.
Kasi ang first indication, no? Kung sino yung malakas doon sa presidente ay kung sino yung cabinet members, sino yung nagbaback up ng mga cabinet members na i-appoint
Do you
ni
think
Marcos.
he would consider extending some of the cabinet officials of the Duterte administration? Extending the term?
Wala akong nakikitang cabinet member na magiging very close kay Marcos. More so kay Sara.
Okay.
Wala siyang kaibigan dyan sa cabinet members na yan. Kaya
So it'll
ang
be a fresh
mga
set.
Yes, mga cabinet members dati ay gusto si Bongo, di ba? Then mas malapit ang cabinet members noon kay Bongo over kay Sara.
May chance kayang makakita tayo ng cabinet member from farther back than this administration. Like you said nga, some of the power players there, syempre may mga manok yan, di ba? For example na lang, let's say, Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. Is there a chance we'll see some of her guys back?
Yan, hindi ko rin
Mahirap eh. Mahirap pa talaga
sabihin.
at this stage.
Mahirap sabihin.
Pero look at those numbers again. Look at that. Almost
We're
90%
almost
na tayo.
90%. That's right. So we
Yeah,
still
wala
have
na
Bongbong
talaga.
Marcos in the top spot, 28.5 million votes, followed by Leni Robredo with 13.6 million votes. Manny Pacquiao has just crossed the 3 million vote line with 3.1 million, but everything else trails the top.
And I guess, ang
top
ganda rin
contender.
ibalik, I don't know per se kung ilang percentage itong nakuhang number ng boto ni Bongbong Marcos, but I would assume that this voter turnout would have to be one of our biggest, at least, no, percent
Yes.
share in recent history. In fact, baka ma-match pa niya yung sa father niya back in 1969.
In fact, hindi ako sigurado, pero a presidential candidate getting higher votes than the top Senate candidate, bago yan.
Oh, yeah.
Dahil every elections talaga,
Okay.
mas mataas ang Senate.
Okay, now this time again, we have, bablikan natin yan, Sir Earl, but this time, just moments ago, you have Vice President Leni Robredo addressing her supporters. Let's listen in.
Hayaan niyo ako magpasalamat sa lahat ng bumoto, sa lahat ng nangumbinsin sa kanilang mga pamilya, kaibigan, kakilala, kahit na mga di kakilala, sa iba't ibang paraan. Sa mga nagtaya ng karera at pangalan sa pagbabahagi ng ating mensahe. Sa milyong-milyon nagtipon sa mga rally, nag-house to house, nagpaskel ng mga tarps, nag-post sa social media, nagsulat, gumawa ng mga video at patalastas, sa mga medic, sa mga kusang naglinis sa ating mga rally, nagpinta at tumugtog at nagpahiram ng boses para maipakita ang lakas ng taong bayang nakatikim ng pag-asa. Hindi kayang sukatin ng numero ang lalim ng pagmamahal ninyo. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Alam kong hindi madaling tanggapin sa inyo ang mga numerong lumalabas sa quick count. Hindi lang panghihinayang, kundi malinaw na pagkadismaya ang nararamdaman ng ating hanay. Mulat din ako. Ang pagkadismayang ito maaaring lalong kumulo, lalo pa dahil may naiulat na irregularity sa halalang ito. Hanggang ngayon, meron pang mga taong hindi pa nabibilang ang boto. Meron sa inyong buong araw nang nasa mga presinto at nananatili doon hanggang ngayon, hinihintay na maipasok ang balota sa mga makina. Kaisa ninyo ako sa paniniwala na kailangang isalamin ng halalan ang buo at wastong tinig ng taong bayan. Mahalagang maging mas matibay ang tiwala ng tao sa proseso ng ating demokrasya.
Alright, again, that's just a part of her address from her Facebook page. Again, you just heard, of course, from Vice President Leni Robredo addressing her supporters. Your thoughts, Sir Earl, on that quick message, at least a snippet of her message that we just aired?
Tama siya na dapat i-prove ng COMELEC ang credibility nitong electoral process na ito.
So nakikita nyo, ano yung chafing points dito, no? In terms of credibility nitong election process natin ngayong 2022? Ano yung mga posibleng lumabas at gawing issues at palakihin?
Sa tingin ko, hindi usapin ng palakihin kundi issues na
Na-i-highlight.
totoo ba
Or
na mga issues. Halimbawa, yung bakit mabilis masyado ang transmission, no? Iko-compare mo sa mga nakaraang elections, no? Bakit yung ibang dumidiretso sa transparency server ang hindi pa nga nabibilang or wala pang dumadating sa provincial canvassing, no? May mga ganyang mga cases akong naririnig at nababasa.
Actually, meron din akong narinig. Pero iniisip ko lang, kung inabandona nung kandidato yung cause, no, may sisilip pa ba dyan? Or kailangan bang pursigihin at talagang, you have to drill down on the COMELEC and what could that mean for our country? Diba? Kung ma-question nga ang election process.
Yeah, sa tingin ko, mahalagang i-question ang election process, hindi para i-overturn ang results, kundi para ma-amend at mapapahusay pa natin ang mga susunod pa na conduct ng elections. No? Kasi ang electoral process, ito yung pinakamahalagang proseso ng demokrasya natin. No? So, kailangan pangalagaan ang credibility nito, ang fairness nito. No? Sa totoo lang, kailangan i-reform talaga yung electoral system natin. Hindi kaya ng COMELEC i-regulate or pigilan yung transactional politics, yung vote buying. Nandyan talaga. No? Maski mga party list na bumibili ng boto. No? Hindi kaya ng COMELEC na talagang pangalagaan ang bawat boto ng mga mamamayan may nadidisenfranchise madalas, no? Dahil either sa system nila sa pagboboto o kaya sadya ng ibang mga politicians na pahirapan ang mga botante para umayaw na bumoto. Or nawawala mga pangalan. May sa isang presinto ko, doon sa school kung saan ako bumoto, may 3 akong narinig na bakit wala ang pangalan nila. No? So, yung mga ganyan, disenfranchisement, no? Vote buying, kailangan i-address yun ng COMELEC. Dahil kung palagi na lang ganyan, unti-unting mawawala ang credibility ng elections, ng electoral process. Kung ang electoral process ay hindi credible, no, ang mahahalal ng elections ay hindi din magiging credible.
Exactly, and medyo mahaba-habang usapin yan kasi deeply embedded na yan lahat ng issues na nabanggit mo, Sir Earl. Ano? So, medyo magiging challenging yan, especially when we're talking about a government na pretty much the president, at least the incoming president, has a good hand on, di ba?
Kasi ngayon, may mga doubts talagang papasok eh. Unang-una, ang COMELEC ay majority ng COMELEC o lahat na ata, no? Ng COMELEC ay si President Duterte ang nag-appoint.
Correct.
No? Siyempre, tapos pati yung F1, yung
Logistics,
yung
logistics,
logistics
yeah.
na ginamit sa kanila. Siyempre, may doubts talaga ang tao. So, dapat i-prove yun ng COMELEC na walang nangyaring dayan.
Which I think is tricky kasi from 2016, di ba, ang naunang mag-launch ng electoral protest versus Leni Robredo ay si Bongbong Marcos.
Right.
At hindi niya tinantanan yun, right? Ngayon, pag pinanalo siya and then the other camp, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, no, mag-launch ng electoral protest. So, it's the other way. So, they're both now questioning, you know what I mean? They're both questioning the COMELEC because I won last time, but now you won, so legit ba to or hindi? It's going to be, well, without, I can't find another word, but messy, to say the least. It could be messy, right?
Pero
Could this be a chance for them to address these inconsistencies?
For the COMELEC to address this? Yes, pero hindi, I don't think si Robredo ay hindi niya tatantanan yung protest.
Okay.
No? Sa tingin ko, si Bongbong naman dati, kaya hindi niya talaga tinantanan yun dahil ayaw niya mawala doon sa consciousness ng mga voters. No?
Kumbaga, yung pangalan niya lumalabas pa rin.
Yes,
Sa news na pag-uusapan pa rin siya, whether or not it's good.
Yes.
We're
Part
not-
yun ng
Magsisingin lang
strategy
ng
nila.
isang scenario dito. Medyo ibahin ko lang ng konti yung conversation. Do you see a possible midterm run here for Robredo? 3 years from now.
Hindi ko siya masyadong kilala, pero sa ano man yung pagkakilala ko sa kanya, ayaw niya talaga ng politika. And I think ganun siya ka-sincere nung sinabi niyang ayaw niya sa politika at gusto niya alagaan na lang ang mga anak niya. No?
So,
Masaya naman siya sa developmental lawyering niya at yun naman talaga yung passion niya. Sa tingin ko, yun yung gagawin niya. Pero, opposition figure siya kasi Very
Can she resist the
credible
clamor?
opposition figure. Kaya talagang maraming magpupush niyan sa kanya. Tumakbo ka naman, you lead the opposition sa 2025. And that's possible. Mag-give in ba siya o hindi? Uunahin niya ba yung family niya?
Niya na mag-decide ng mas
Na mas
maaga.
maaga,
Mahirap
para
yun.
masimulan na niya. Parang bukas, gano'n, di ba? Kasi yung nagyari before. And that's
Pero nakakaawa din naman kasi siya at ang pamilya niya. Ano? Tingnan
And I think
natin.
pinangako niya sa mga anak niya previously, yung vice presidential run niya would be her last
last na
run.
yun,
Yes.
no?
But
Pero
look what
now,
happened.
more than ever, kailangan talaga ng isang credible opposition figure. At siya yun. Sasayangin niya ba yun? Di ba?
Can the
ewan ko
opposition
eh.
come up with a different name by 2028?
Meron ba tayo yun nga eh? May mga
Meron
in
ba?
waiting ba dyan? May mga
Kasi-
training pool ba tayo sa opposition na pwede nating i-shore up into a credible opposition figure? Is there anyone? And I think a lot of people have been asking this, and names are getting thrown around, but is there really someone?
Ako wala. Wala talaga akong nakikita, except si Lenny. Kaya dapat i-take up. Kung ako lang, i-take on niya dapat yung role na yon.
So dadagdag pressure natin siya
But I
ulit.
guess that's also where the difficulty lies. The fact na nahihirapan tayo to come up with other names other than Lenny, and she cannot win the fight alone. Kung siya lang, how can they win the fight? Kung wala tayong ibang maisasama na
The
teammates.
bench is not deep enough. Wala nga tayong bench. Meron lang tayong
Kaya nga kailangan natin mag-train. Ibig sabihin, the opposition should develop other personalities.
But
Pero hindi
realistically,
naman kasi na-develop overnight yung personalities
Correct. So
na yun.
if in case ngayon pa lang tayo mag-start, mag-scout for a new worthy
Or
member of
i-correct
the
natin,
opposition.
baka mabash tayo. If ngayon pa lang sila
Sila.
mag-scout. Hindi tayo.
Hindi pala tayo.
Baka
Okay.
isipin,
Ngayon pa lang yung opposition maghanap at ng possible pambato nila in the future. Kailan pa natin makikita to? Kailan siya mahihinog? Di ba? How long does it take?
Ayun.
We've seen Bongbong Marcos working at this for the last
Even before
more than 6 years
2016.
because he already ran for vice. So that's more than a decade.
Ang isang opposition figure kasi ay dapat na exposed na sa national constituency.
Okay.
So nandyan na siya dapat.
Ibig
Hindi lang
sabihin-
natin alam kung sino siya.
Oo. Na nakasali na siya sa isang national campaign. Di ba? So,
May national
sa atin,
consciousness
election
na.
campaign, pwede rin isang campaign ng issue-based campaign, basta national campaign. No?
All right, let's pause this for a quick bit because once again, dominating the party list race is ACT CIS with 1.9 million votes. And joining us on the line is Attorney Gareth Tungol. He is the Chief of Staff at the Office of ACT CIS Party List Representative and second nominee, Jocelyn Tulfo. Good morning, Attorney Tungol. Kamusta na?
Hi, good morning. We're doing pretty good. Based on the polls nga, medyo
Mukhang sure shot na to. So at 1.9 million votes, ilang upuan ang sinisilip natin dito?
well, based on the computation, we're looking at 3 seats.
Okay.
Okay, so can you go for the benefit of everyone, can we go through kung sino yung
Sino-sino?
tatlong nominees, top 3 nominees ng ACT CIS this time around? Pare-pareho pa rin ba or may changes?
The party list decided that we would change it because most of our nominees decided to pursue another path, no? Our previous first nominee, which was Congressman Eric Yap, is now, I think, panalo na sa debate, no? Cancer Congressman at Rick. So he will be replaced by Ed Yap, and then the second nominee will be retained by Congressman Jester Delos Santos. And then the third seat will be Jester Delos.
Now, medyo choppy lang yung line, attorney, but we also want to get your thoughts. Again, of course, ACT-CIS, Jocelyn Tulfo, of course, anong reaction ng partido as well doon sa number 3 ranking ni Idol Rafi sa senatorial
Of course,
race?
masaya din, no? ACT-CIS party list and Idol Rafi works hand in hand, especially when it comes to our social services side. We believe na as a party list that represents yung mga marginalized groups, we have an obligation, no, na hindi lang to legislate but to also perform well pagdating sa mga social works na yan. So we're happy na may kakampi kami sa Senate.
All right. So, yun nga, like Jester said and like you said, the 32 ngol. So, nandyan ngayon si Idol Raffy sa Senado at syempre may 3 seats kayo sa Congress. Ano-ano ang plano ng ACT-CIS in terms of this new incoming Congress? Meron na ba kayong minamatang mga bagong advokasya na itutulak ninyo or aling committees ang minamatan nyo as early as now?
Okay, so the core, core representation ng ACT-CIS party list, yung mga vulnerable to crime and terrorism. So we're trying to enact laws that help people to resolve grievance when it comes to crime. Ang napansin namin during our first years was that there's much to be done when it comes to legislation related to how it is to pursue criminal dito sa so yun, we're trying to push more laws for that. And yun, it's good that we have allies sa upper house para naman matupag namin namin.
All right. Thank you so much for taking our call this late into the evening or this early into the morning. That was Attorney Gareth Tungol on the line. He is Chief of Staff of ACT-CIS nominee, Congresswoman Jocelyn Tulfo. All right, Jess, since nasa party list na rin tayo, no? Silipin naman natin. We already know ACT-CIS is number 1 with 1.9 million votes. Sino-sino pa ang nasa ating top 10?
Okay, so after ACT-CIS, ito na, may mga sure seats na to. You have one rider party list. There's also Tinggog. And then Ako Bicol also with 754,000 votes. There's also 4Ps with 749,000 as well as Sagip. Uswag Ilonggo ang probinsyano. Medyo may intense din yung campaign ng party list na to. Ang probinsyano, they have at least 647,000 votes. You also have Tutok to Win at 637,000. There's also again si BAC, Senior Citizens Party List, and Agimat. So far, yan yung nasa top 12 natin when it comes to party list. Shawn, this time, silipin na rin natin, since napag-usapan natin sa Idol Raffy kanina, balikan natin again, of course, our senatorial candidates here. Again, Robin Padilla leading the pack here with 24.2 million votes. Lauren Legarda again also with 22.3. Idol Raffy at 21 with 21.5 million votes at number 3. And then Win Gatchalian, re-election is 19 million votes, sitting at number 4. And then Chis Escudero at number 5 with 18.7. And Mark Villar rounding off our top 6 with 17.8 million votes. And sure shot na rin so far, you have Cayetano, Zubiri, and Villanueva. Again, at number 10, you have JV Ejercito, Risa Ontiveros at number 11, and Jingo Estrada at number 12. And so far, yung mga pilit pa rin humahabol, tignan natin, Jojo Binay with 12.2 million votes, Herbert Bautista with 11.9, and Gibo Chidoro with 11.6. Nakita natin, medyo tumaas yung numero ni Jojo Binay at 12.2 million votes, pero medyo malayo-layo pa rin ba, Sir Earl?
I think so, yes.
At 13.8, medyo may kahirapan pa yan para habulin. Considering that 90% of the votes are already in.
That's right, 90.3% are in as of 2:18 a.m. But just, actually, balikan natin yung party list.
Sige, go ahead.
So, 2 elections in a row na, no? Number 1, itong si ACT-CIS party list natin, no? Pero pare-pareho pa rin ba ang pasok sa ating top 10 ng mga party lists kumpara sa nakaraang eleksyon?
Okay, tingnan natin kung kaya nating silipin, if we can have at least a comparison of what happened back in 2019. Let's see here. Again, still, ACT-CIS, in fact, with more votes at 2.6 million votes. Bayan Muna, and we didn't really see the party at least in the top 12, but I do recall seeing Bayan Muna at least in the top 20. No, I think they could still manage to secure a seat here in Congress. And then Ako Bicol, again, also, nasa same list pa rin natin yan with 1 million votes. Si BAC also, although If before, at number 4 spot ngayon, medyo nasa bandang dulo ng top 12 natin kanina.
Correct.
Yung Sibac,
Medyo mababa siya ngayon.
And then, ang probinsyano, 767,000 at least so far today. It's at 600,000, so medyo bumaba ng konti. One Pacman, there's also Marino. Marino, have yet to encounter from our
Marino,
list
wala
kanina,
siya this
no?
time around. At least wala sa top. No?
And then, probinsyano ako also at 628,000. Then, senior citizens list still there at 510. Then, magsasaka. And then, APEC. Again, guys, recall lang, this is 2019. Baka nagkakalituan lang tayo. Binabalikan lang natin kung sino so far, yung mga nakita natin in 2019, kung ilan ba doon sa mga yon ang nagbabalik for 2022. So, balikan na natin. Para hindi tayo malikto, puntahan natin ulit ang
Yung
ito na yan,
current.
sa 2022. Again, you have probinsyano ako still part of the list, Kabataan with 500,000 votes. There's also ako, Bisaya. Marino.
Ayun na, number 16
na. Laki ng ibinaba nung Marino.
Si probinsyano ako, nandyan din.
Yes,
Ayan,
and
di ba?
Duterte Youth at 540,000. Okay. So, ano masabi mo, sir? Sa makeup ng ating party list. Very interesting pa rin, na labanan.
And these are a lot of seats in the House of Representatives. I mean, we think, okay, ilan lang to. Pero like, one party list can have as much as 3 seats if you're ACT-CIS, right?
Yeah. Usually, mga 76 yan sila. 20% na.
20%, yes.
A pretty big block, di ba?
Yes.
Meron na silang party list block ngayon nga sa House of Representatives.
Ang isang interesting dyan ay yung mga makabayan block ay nabawasan,
Yun na nga.
So, ang Gabriela lang ata ang... Nandyan ba ang
Kabataan,
Gabriela?
nandito.
Kabantaan.
In fact,
Ang Gabriela, wala.
Gabriela, medyo nagdedelikado.
Okay.
And then,
Tapos, ang bayan muna, wala.
wala rin ang
na
bayan
rin,
muna, no? Very interesting
Anak
nga.
Pawis, wala din.
Tsaka may mga first-timer, no, na parang like yung tutok to win, parang wala yan dati.
Oo eh.
Di ba?
Actually, it's the first time I'm hearing about Tutok to Win as well.
Right.
If I'm
So,
being honest about it.
Ang
bigla ko siya
problem-
nakikita sa social media as
From
of
time
late.
to time, siguro,
What do you make of this, Earl?
Kasi,
Oo nga, the fact
alam-
na medyo magkakaroon tayo ng absence ng Makabayan party list, Or members ng Makabayan block rather, when it
pati
comes to
ang
the party list
akbayan,
makeup.
wala din.
What does that say?
Kasi na-take over na talaga ng mga traditional politicians at saka political dynasties ang party list system. Ibig sabihin, talagang, kumbaga, na-prostitute na talaga yung system na ito. No? Ang constitution natin ay linagay ito para mabigyan ang boses ang walang boses. Pero nakita ito ng mga traditional politicians na pwede nilang pangdagdag ito sa hold nila sa political power.
But would this
Kaya
also mean that there's a need to somehow rethink the strategy here, especially for these progressive groups?
Yeah, pero sa tingin ko ang pinakamalaki talaga na naging problem ng progressive groups ay ang paghabol ng NTF-ELCAC sa kanila. No? Iba pa yung sa akbayan. Dahil ang sa akbayan naman, sa tingin ko, may mga organizational issues talaga sila. Or
Sige, can you elaborate on
strategy
the
siguro.
NTF-ELCAC's effect on the Makabayan block? What have you observed so far?
Kasi ang Makabayan Block, may mga base talaga ito sila na ina-accuse ng NTF-ELCAC na sumusuporta doon sa NDF, CPP-NDF. No? So, nagtatry nga ito, nag-file pa ito ng kaso na dapat i-disqualify. Although, hindi yan pinagbigyan ng COMELEC. No? Pero sa ground, yung mga bases nila ay talagang militarily, inatake talaga ito ng
You mean literal
armed
yung
forces.
atake that you're talking
Yes.
about is an actual attack?
Giyera.
Pagsasalakay?
Yes.
Giyera.
Nagkaroon talaga ng mga giyera dahil ito din yung mga pinaghihinalaan ng gobyerno na base ng mga NPA. So, may mga encounters dito. So, marami hindi nakakaboto.
And that would explain kung bakit nag-drop off ang marami dito
Yes.
sa mga partyless groups na ito. Okay, si Jester may ginagawa.
Nagkakalikot lang ako. I'm just trying to see if there would be some interesting turnouts here that we can at least take a look at here. For example, voter turnout, makikita natin. In fact, ang taas. Normally, on a normal election, voter turnout would only be at 80%.
80%. Yes.
But as you can see right here, 37 provinces na so far in the country managed to at least more than 80% of the registered voters decided to cast their votes. And then around at least the blue part here, as you can see, those areas yung nasa, on average, on a normal election, ganun naman talaga, around 60 to 80%. And you only have here a very small portion with population less than 60% voting in this year's election. So what does that say, Earl?
Actually, expected naman yan dahil polarized nga talaga yung very divisive nga din yung election. So, mas nagkaka-interest talaga ang mga tao pag ganyan yung sitwasyon. So, mas dumami ang lumabas at bumoto para sa kandidato nila.
And I think no matter how you want to look at it, I mean, the fact that there is a high voter turnout, I think we can agree this is a good thing. This is a positive
Yes.
development for us.
Right.
How do we sustain this kind of, level of voter interest moving forward? Lagi ba kailangan may ganitong labanan bago tayo makakita ng ganitong voter turnout? Or do you think, people now actually medyo nagising sila? Or namulat, Earl?
Hopefully, masustain natin yung pagkamulat ng mga tao pero hindi sa personality kundi doon sa program
Issue, sa
dapat
programs.
ng mga kandidato. Sa tingin ko yun yung challenge. Yun din yung challenge ng media, no? Na kailangan iangat natin ang quality ng electoral campaigns, no? Ang nangyayari kasi tinitignan pa rin, it's Marcos versus Robredo, hindi naman yung issue eh. It's Robredo's platform versus Marcos platform. Di ba? And at a certain level, ideology or ideology ng mga kandidato. No? Ano ba yung program talaga nila? Or paano nila tinitingnan halimbawa yung sovereignty ng bansa? Paano nila tinitingnan yung social welfare? Di ba? Yung mga ganyan, may ideological roots yan eh.
All right, hold that thought, Earl, because we're about to check in on the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo, who earlier addressed her supporters in Camarines Sur. Joining us on the line is Gerard de la Peña. Gerard, tell us the details of VP Robredo's address.
Well, actually, we are stationed in Naga City, and we were suddenly called to participate in to listen to the Vice President's speech or statement here in Magarao town, also in Camarines Sur. And the Vice President basically thanked her supporters, and she said that the supporters should not feel any regret that their efforts were just wasted because of the way the counting is going on right now. So it's basically a Thanksgiving, and she said that the supporters should just accept or go on with their lives, and the campaign that happened should serve as an eye opener with the way our society operates. So basically, it's a Thanksgiving. Okay, so we were also told that today, maybe today or tomorrow, there will be a Thanksgiving mass of sorts, or a small gathering for the supporters here in Camarines Sur. And also when the Vice President gets back to Manila, maybe on Thursday or on Friday. But Shawn, we didn't hear any congratulatory message or any direct wording that says that I concede or I accept the results of the tabulation of votes so far. So we didn't hear any of those. It's just that the VP explained that the public deserves to hear from her point of the election. Shawn.
All right, so no concessions made tonight. Possibly tomorrow. Could we get a concession from VP Robredo, either her or her camp, or will the numbers just have to suffice?
Well, Shawn, I think this is we won't be able to hear any other messages from the VP. She doesn't want to call this a concession at this point because she said that many voters haven't even cast their votes yet. So it's pretty complicated, but we didn't hear any of the I concede or congratulations or those kind of wordings. But we can just say that this statement should suffice for now. Shawn.
All right, so the statement for now at least is a thank you to their supporters. So it's all about Thanksgiving, and thank you also for giving us that update. Gerard de la Peña reporting to us from Naga City. All right, let's continue where we left off. Hopefully, I remember where we actually left off.
Yeah, pero sa tingin ko kay VP Lenny dapat i-investigate ng team niya ano talaga yung nangyari.
So,
And the COMELEC to present information, data to prove na credible ang result ng elections. Then, only then should VP Lenny concede kung credible yung elections.
okay, so kung on the flip side of that, kung hindi siya nag-concede because she does not perceive the elections to be credible, what then?
Sa tingin ko may malaking force, may malaking following si VP Lenny na magpro-protest, no? Against doon sa perception na hindi credible yung elections at dapat ituwid dito, no?
Alright.
So magkakaroon sa tingin ko ng mga street protests kung hindi mapatunayan ng COMELEC, hindi makakapaglabas ng information and data ang COMELEC to prove that the results are credible.
All right, Jester, no? So we're still talking about, of course, the credibility of the elections. And we just spoke, of course, to Gerard de la Peña. So no word, again, from Vice President Lenny Robredo, no words at all no, to suggest any concession, conceding, or congratulations
Can
to
we
the
expect
other
that tomorrow, though? Do you think it's going to be a different scenario tomorrow?
Magdidepende yan sa investigation nila. May data namang pumapasok yan sa kanila from the field. No? So, based on that, kung sa tingin nila worth pursuing, no? At i-engage nila dapat ang COMELEC. Para ang COMELEC ay maglalabas ng mga data to prove otherwise the allegations.
All right.
Or
But,
would be allegations.
historically speaking, no, this process could take a very, very long time. Of course, I guess the aim of this would be, to actually legitimize or make people trust the electoral process once again more than actually securing a win, right? Because
Yes. Dahil yun yung purpose ng election.
Yun naman talaga dapat.
ang ganda nun. Yun talaga.
Yun
yung
naman
purpose.
talaga dapat. Mukhang mahaba-haba pa tong usapin na to.
Oo.
Marami pa.
More like 6 years worth of
So
conversations.
what's going to happen from this moment on until the oath-taking of Ferdinand Marcos Jr.? I mean, of course, Duterte would still be in power until then. What should we expect?
Actually, transition na tong period na to. After ng canvassing ng Presidential Electoral Tribunal, no? Transition na talaga, formal transition. Ibig sabihin, magbubuo ang madideclare na winner ng transition team.
Okay.
So, doon na papasok yung mga probable appointments, no? So, ako, may na-observe akong isang panahon ata yun ni President Erap na ang office ng ES, no, sa Malacanang, isang room puno yan ng mga CVs, no? Dahil ang daming nag-a-apply. At libo-libo yung mga positions na if-fill up. So,
So we can
kailangan
expect the
i-vet
same.
yan.
Diba,
So, may vetting process
I
dapat.
think it was somewhere towards the last week of March where I think it was Amy Marcos who said maraming nag-audition na.
Yes. I remember.
Naalala mo yun sa
Audition yung
cover.
term niya.
Audition ang ginamit niyang term, right? Paano ba to? Or like, pwede ba akong mag-audition? Or talagang, or mix-mix siya nga. Like, pinag-usapan natin kanina na meron ngang mga players, power players dito na baka pwede sila yung mag-suggest ng appointment, right?
Pero sinasabi nga ng marami na ang success has many fathers, no? So, itong mga, ako yung nagpapanalo kay Bongbong doon sa ano, or ako yung, mga ganyan.
So, patronage pa rin.
Dapat may position ako. So, may dala-dala na yan silang CV, no? O kaya, siyempre, kakausapin nila sino yung mas malapit sa bagong presidente, no? So,
Ikaw, Earl, anong mga department appointments na yung medyo binabantayan mo in terms of knowing that we're gonna go into Marcos presidency?
yung
Which
yung mga
Finance
revenue
department?
generating, ibig sabihin yung maraming pondo, malaki ang pondo at maraming tsansa na makakakat ka sa pondo. So that would be BIR, that would be BOC, no? Of course, DPWH, DepEd, no? Yung mga ano yun eh. Maski ang DA, no? Ang daming pera niyan, no? At marami ka ding pwedeng pagkukunan ng pera. No? So, interesting yan kung sinong mailalagay dyan.
And I guess also isa rin sa pinaka-inaabangan would be his economic team. I mean, I know Earl, you're not an economist per se, no? Pero isa yan sa mga antabayanan, especially considering na pre-election, medyo jittery mga investors. I mean, you have a number of studies already pointing that fact na medyo hindi sila ganun ka-optimistic when it comes to a Marcos presidency. So how challenging is that going to be for Marcos? I mean, a number of economists are saying that's really going to depend as well largely on who he is going to appoint in his cabinet.
Starting with the DOF, of course, then the DTI, no? Then the BIR, NEDA most especially, no? So, dahil kung mga credible naman na mga tao, experts talaga sa field nila, ang ilalagay nila dito, sa tingin ko, yung mga investors naman will think na pwede itong sugalan. No? May risk pa rin. Pero lahat naman kasi ng bagong administration, may risk talaga pagpasok eh.
Kaya favorite ko nga ngayon pag may nakakita akong mga opinion, editorials, columns, di ba? Yung mga haka-haka kung sino kaya yung malalagay sa DOF? Sino kaya yung...
Yun dapat ang nilalagyan natin ng map. Nilalagyan natin.
Gawa tayo ng bagong game, di ba?
Gawa tayo ng bagong drill.
Tapos gawa kayo ng bagong game na kaninong manok ba ito?
Ayun.
Di ba?
Would it matter?
Yeah, sa tingin ko dahil...
Kung sino ang backer nitong taong
It should, di ba?
Yes. Kasi si GMA, I think, gusto niya kunin yung economic
Because
team.
economist siya,
di ba?
Hindi man tayo
Pero
economist.
papayag ba si Lisa? O kaya si Amy? Di ba? Dahil malaking chunk yun sa
Who do you think has the most influence or the greatest influence among the three?
Sino
The wife,
yung
the sister, or ano ba si Gloria?
Sino yung madalas
Advisor.
Sino yung madalas mong makausap? 'Di ba? Ang wife buong gabi kausap mo siguro or
A lot of people have also made that parallel, di ba? Between, let's say, Imelda Marcos and Liza Marcos.
Naramdaman kayo hesitation mo doon for a bit.
Hindi, kasi
Sabihin natin, tama naman.
Marami talaga nag-make
parallelism.
Diba?
Tama naman. Your thoughts on that?
Nakangiti na lang
Interesting
si
6 years. Interesting 6 years.
Interesting 6 years. It really is.
Between them,
So ano ba bang pwede natin
Pero
pag-usapan?
ito lang, gusto ko lang din balikan. Kasi you have a number of senators also na hindi na muna natin makikita sa mundo ng politika for the next couple of years other than Ping Lacson. You also have Tito Soto and Kiko Pangilinan. Ayun, Kiko Pangilinan, what can we expect from him after this?
I think magiging active siya sa civil society movement. No? Na
Do you think
ang
he
civil
will also be
society will be the main opposition. Sa tingin ko.
So sila na ang tatayong opposition
Mukhang eto na
habang
yun.
naghahanap sila ng bagong candidate.
Maganda nga ito paano ba nila i-meld yung civil society with governmental or electoral politics. No? Siguro matututo dyan ang mga NGOs.
Do you think that's a sign na parang our democracy is maturing?
In a way, yes. No? In a way, yes. Sa Asia, tayo yung may pinaka-vibrant civil society sector. Pagkakaalam ko. No?
I would think
syempre
so. Just because
nasa...
tayo lang din yung medyo may ganitong
Yes,
sistema na
Ang
demokrasya.
civil society kasi ay nasa development work. Pero you could not do development work apart from the government. No? So, kailangan mo talaga pumasok sa gobyerno. So, that's the role of civil society. I hope civil society will be able to find its way, no, doon sa governmental politics.
Makapag-merge, maka-find siya ng
To
spot and
evolve, no?
mag-settle. Yeah.
Okay, napag-usapan natin Kiko Pangilinan, dako naman tayo kay Tito Soto. Retirement na ba to from politics after this?
Sabi niya, pero I really don't know kung anong mangyayari dahil nasa
Possible
DNA
appointment?
ata yung politiko pagka-politiko
Do you think someone like Tito Soto could actually be appointed
After a year, yes. Depende.
after the ban? Yes.
How about Senator Manny Pacquiao? Ito medyo bata-bata pa to.
I don't think na i-appoint siya sa gobyerno. Pero sa tingin ko si Pacquiao magpo-focus doon sa local politics. Sarangani, Jensen. No?
Do you think possible na magkaroon sila ng continuous conversation with members of the opposition? Considering na somehow medyo naging amicable or at least naging maayos naman yung relationship between Leni Robredo and Pacquiao.
Yes, I think so. And I think Manny Pacquiao has a place doon sa civil society movement. Doon sa
Does Manny
opposition.
Pacquiao, I was gonna say, does Manny Pacquiao have a place in the opposition? Could he be? Kasi based on our loose requirements, di ba, kailangan nandyan na siya sa national consciousness. Could he potentially be,
Especially
a
after
strong
the Comelec
player?
decision ng PDP laban.
Yeah, I think so. Basta depende yun sa willingness niya. No? So, tatansyahin niya din yun. Siguro magpapahinga lang ng ilang buwan yun. Papasok din naman sa tingin ko sa politika yun uli. No? Ang iba, Lacson, I think magre-retire na siya. Talaga.
Retire na to, you think? Last hura na itong pagtakbo bilang Pangulo.
What about Isko Moreno? What's
Ayun.
next
Yan,
for
sa
Isko
tingin ko
Moreno?
ma-appoint yan siya after a year.
Really?
Talaga?
Why?
Ang dami
Anong pinagagalingan nitong perception mo, Sir
Ang
Earl, na there's a probability na maa-appoint sa cabinet?
Alam mo
itong
si
Isko?
Isko, maraming nasa campaign niya na close sa mga Marcoses. No?
So they could lobby for him.
Yes. In the meantime, na hindi siya mayor, di ba?
Kahit na binibring up niya incessantly yung estate
Estate
tax
taxes.
issue.
Yeah, wala. Makakalimutan na yun eh. Baka hindi na magiging issue yun after a year.
Okay, balikan pa natin yan mamaya, Sir Earl. But for now, we've been getting reports that electoral protests are now being planned by some groups after today's elections were attended by issues with the vote counting machines and even reports of election-related violence. Shaila Francisco brings us the latest from the Comelec Command Center. For more details, Shaila, are you seeing any groups convening there for a protest action?
Just as of now, we're not seeing any groups convening for a protest action. What we have right now is just an update of the election returns as of 2:45 p.m. The COMELEC has received 99,095 election returns. That represents 93.33% of the 106,174 election returns that they are expecting. This doesn't include yet the election returns from overseas. And this high transmission rate comes despite complaints from voters that have yet to cast their vote and election returns that have yet to be transmitted by some of the provinces and cities. Unfortunately, also, we don't have any COMELEC officials here to tell us more about these issues and to ask them about their actions on the protests that you are referring to. But earlier, they mentioned that the high transmission rate can be attributed to their preparations to avoid the 2019 glitch where we experienced over 7-hour glitch in the elections. They come prepared now. They've updated transmission facilities. They have better SD card qualities and they've trained their poll workers. Now, just to give a context, what I'm saying right now is the election results. These are sent not just in the COMELEC central server, but also in the Transparency Media server. That's why we're seeing partial and unofficial results. As for the official results, the National Board of Canvassers has yet to receive any certificate of canvass. That's why you're not seeing any canvassers as of now. That's the latest here in the COMELEC headquarters. Jess?
Actually, I have one question. So, we were getting a lot of reports earlier, Shaila, about broken VCMs or machines that need to be replaced. Some of these units, according to COMELEC Commissioner George Garcia earlier this afternoon, have been addressed. You know, they've been they did troubleshooting on site, they sent engineers, but some machines, they do need to be fixed. What's the update? Do we have a count right now on how many machines still have not been replaced or not been able to transmit returns?
Shawn, in total, they've received reports of 1,800 plus VCMs that have malfunctioned. Most of it just require technical staff or troubleshooting by the technical staff. In total, there are 533 vote counting machines or VCM identified as defective, and from that number, around 105 has been repaired. Now, this represents just 0.502% of the total vote counting machines they have, but that update was given to us earlier before 6 p.m. So we don't have an updated figure yet as to how many VCMs are still affected, given that there are still a lot of voters who are yet to cast their votes as of this time. Shawn?
All right, thank you so much for that update, Shaila Francisco, joining us from the PPCRV headquarters in Manila. So just like Shaila said, you know, not everyone has been able to cast their vote, but as she says, it's just like 0.5%.
Parang maliit na share lang compared to the total scheme of things. Again, Shaila Francisco reporting us live from the COMELEC headquarters. Again, tuloy natin yung discussion natin with Sir Earl. No, again, kanina, let's pick up from where we left off. Kanina, napag-usapan natin Manny Pacquiao. How about Leody de Guzman? Meron naman siya nasimulan dito, you think?
Actually, ang pagtakbo ni Leody, pagkakaalam ko, ay para ma-educate, ma-inform ang mga tao hinggil sa socialist program ng lakas ng masa. At ipagpapatuloy nila yon. Para sa akin, panalo na nga sila talaga no? Yung nationwide audience nila. At saka yung
Social
boto
media
na
reach
nakuha
din,
nila, 85,000.
Medyo may kababaan, 85,000. Pero when in the grander scheme of things, especially when it comes to social media reach, medyo may kataasan yan.
At saka
mataas ang ang engagement niya on social media.
Yes, Kaya sa tingin ko, kung objective lang nila ang pag-uusapan, panalo na sila.
Kumbaga, libreng advertising na rin. Hindi naman ganun kalibre,
No,
pero advertising na rin.
Yes, dahil mahirap mag-engage sa education campaign, information campaign, no, na wala kang electoral platform. No?
And yun nga, since we've been talking about branding or then selling yourself, basically selling a product, right? Marami rin tayong nakitang mga Ang hirap ngayon mag-mount ng campaign no? Before, it was much simpler, I believe. Kumbaga, less arms, no, yung campaign mo. Ngayon kasi may social media na, may meeting de avance pa, kailangan pa, may mga sumasayaw, kumakanta. Samantala, meron din tayong production side, merong mga TV ads, di ba? Or same ads on social media, which you have to produce also. Is it getting more and more or less and less inclusive, no, to be able to run? Kumbaga, pamahal ng pamahal. And where will this take us? Where will this lead us?
Actually, yun yung kailangan tignan dahil yan yung kailangan i-reform sa electoral system natin. No?
To level the playing field again.
Yeah. To level the playing field, trinay yun sa Fair Elections Act. No? Actually, hindi naman talaga na-implement yan lahat. Maski yung spending cap. No? So, lalo na yung mga vote buying, nandyan pa rin. No? Education ang kailangan mo para sa mga botante na hindi tumanggap ng boto. Pero paano mo i-educate yung demand side nito, yung mga politiko? Di ba? Of course, ang mga botante, the supply side, tatanggap yun kung may demand. Di ba? Dahil, siyempre, ano yun
very basic economics.
Yes.
It always works out that way. Jess is right there on our touchscreen. Jess, what do you have for us at this juncture in time?
Okay, this time around, of course, let's have a quick look again at how votes have so far turned out here, especially for the presidential race here. Again, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. just breaching the 29 million mark with 29.1 million votes. Leni Robredo also at 13.9 million. Manny Pacquiao a far third here at 3.2 million votes. And Isko Moreno also with close to 1.8 million votes. This time, let's check in on the vice presidential race. Again, Sara Duterte already with 29.4 million votes. Kiko Pangilinan with 8.7 and Tito Soto with close to 7.8 million votes so far. Again, Doc Willie Ong, Lito Atienza, and Manny Lopez all far behind here, Shawn.
All right, so pretty much nothing unchanged with almost 91.5% of votes transmitted, or at least partially and unofficially, as of 2:43 a.m.
91.5%.
So that just leaves us with just about 8.5%.
Give and take a few more hours, really. Maybe baka mag-gumising tayo bukas, 100% na yan. Tingnan natin.
Tingnan natin. Kung maayos nila yung mga aberya with the machines and everyone's able to cast their vote finally, then we'll see and we'll have a clearer picture.
And again, pasalamatan natin for accompanying us throughout the 3-hour shift that we just had. Thank you very much, Sir Earl.
Thank you so much, for hanging out with us on this fine morning.
Great insights, wonderful conversation with Sir Earl, of course. Maraming salamat. And those are the latest on the 2022 elections at this hour. And Jester Delos Santos.
Join Charles Lejano here on One News for more updates on the results and other election-related stories. I'm Shawn Yao. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.